Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the League Racing TV YouTube channel for round 4 of the first season of the Esports Masters League League 1 division. My name is Aidan Carter, otherwise known as Carmentis. I'll be taking you through League 1 proceedings as always, and joining me in the commentary box once again on a Wednesday evening is QVR Daka. Daka, how are you this evening?
Thank you, Aidan. Hello, one and all. I'm doing just fine and raring to go for this fourth event of this season, of course, in the TTML Esports Masters League. We're here today at Baku City Circuit, Azerbaijan. We are racing in, and yes, I cannot wait to see how this one all unfolds. Probably one of the most challenging tracks on the calendar, which always produces an unpredictable race, so I can't wait to get this one started. Azerbaijan, it's going to be a nail biter. Let's get this one going.
20 corners ahead of the drivers today. It is, like you say, probably so far this season, the most difficult track that we have come across, and one of the most difficult tracks to nail in terms of qualifying and the race for the rest of the season, round 4 of the season. Then we're going to run you through the standings coming into round 4 then after the third round of the season at the Netherlands, which was a very, very interesting race for a race around the Netherlands circuit. That was a pretty good one, I would say. TTG kind of dominated the first half of the race, but unfortunately a late safety car really put paid to their chances of winning the race, and in the end QVR, the main team for QVR, extended their championship lead, so they're now on 126 points. TTG, after their best performance of the season, are now up to second place in the standings on 91. So there is quite a big gap between those two teams. XL Racing have now dropped down to third after Killer Blue unfortunately crashed in the early phases of that race at the Netherlands, and Dylan could only come home with a 10th place finish. Leonis runs fourth on 77 points, and then the QVR Academy team runs fifth in the standings on 69 points. 58 points in sixth place are Virtual Esports Racing, and then Vapor Esports are seventh on 38 points. Equal eighth in the standings at the moment are the TTG Academy team and the OSRL team on 35 points, and OWR round off the 10 teams at the moment on 20 points. So looking at the championship standings so far, as I said, obviously TTG came out in the blocks flying at the Netherlands, but still, even with that performance that they had, QVR managed to pull it out of the bag.
Yeah, we have seen QVR leading the way ever since their incredible performance at the first round in Australia, and they've held that lead and extended it as of the last round. This could be a different story though, but it could still work in their favour. Baku, as I've alluded to earlier, produces such unpredictable racing. You could see huge swings either way in the championship standings. I know that both teams are fielding pretty strong lineups ahead of tonight. Keep an eye out, as well as maybe other contenders popping up. You still have XL, you still have Leonis, and the likes of the others that are still in contention and can try and pull it out if they have string a few good rounds together. So it's far from over. We are still in the early stages of this championship campaign. We have a full grid of 20 drivers ahead of us, so we'll get this one started very, very shortly. Of course, short qualifying session followed by a 50% race is the agenda for tonight. We'll get it going soon enough. So yeah, QVR have a pretty decent championship lead, but that could all change here. The fortunes could swing either way, and we'll see how it gets going. But yeah, that championship still very much hangs in the balance.
Yeah, and like you said, both of those teams are running very, very strong lineups for today. We'll just run you through the full lineups before we get going fully for our 18-minute qualifying session. So QVR, the main team today, are running T1000 Zach and QVR Verstappen as their main drivers. Kuhnblei is in reserve in case either of them do not show up tonight. OSRL are running Scuderia Seb and URL Matthias. URL Matthias is taking part for the first time this season, and we've commentated over Matthias before in the past. He is definitely a threat tonight. Look out for him in this one. Twitch Lemon as well is their reserve driver for today. Virtual Esports Racing are running VER Jules and VER Nicholas Vet. Nicholas Vet we've seen a few times this season. Jules is a newcomer to this championship, I believe, and Quicksilver is their reserve driver. OWR are fielding Bear Remy and Christian. I believe this is Christian's first round as well. Atlas Copo is their reserve driver. The QVR Academy team are running QVR Nico and QVR Cortez. That's Cortez's first race of the season as well, so a lot of newcomers to look out for tonight. Spaghetti Chips will be running in reserve for them. XL Racing team are fielding Gary and Killer Blue, two people we've seen quite a few times already this season, and their reserve is XL Lando. Leonis Academy team are running LR Ghost and LR Lyronics, two drivers we both have seen already this season. McCrew is running as their reserve driver. The Vapor Esports team are running Vapor Damon and Vapor King. This is Damon's first race of the season, and Machine is their reserve driver as well. TTG are running Perpetua Mobile, who we saw for the first time last time out, and Scuba, who will be running for the first time this season as well. So like I said, a lot of new drivers here tonight. Dirtamo will be their reserve. And finally, the TTG Academy team are running TTGA Cam, and TTGA Florian with Kiki as their reserves. So a lot of new drivers to look out for tonight, and one we were talking about earlier, we were talking about before we went live, one that really stood out to us was Scuba. He could be a real threat tonight, couldn't he?
Certainly, yeah. I don't personally know too much about him. I think you've commentated on him earlier before, and you have a bit of knowledge on the speed that he possesses. We'll see. TTG, I suspect they could deliver big things yet again, but can they put it all together? I think that as an esports team, they have the potential to really make a splash and challenge QVR up at the top. The question is now, in front of this 18-minute qualifying session, then the race, whether they can put it all together, string it all up, and put the challenge down. This is going to be so intriguing, so exciting to watch then. The first car is out exiting the pit lane, and we get this night of racing underway.
Yeah, QVR Verstappen then the first person out onto the track. Last month's race winner. He was the person that took home the race victory in the end for QVR at the Netherlands. Really running around third place the entire race, and then benefited massively at that safety car at the end. Came through to win the race for QVR. So look out for him to be a threat once again tonight. He's had a great season in the Esports Masters League so far. He's really shone, as has obviously QVR as the whole team. The two XL drivers are the two cars behind him on the track. So again, look out for XL, maybe to try and have a bit of a bounce back in this event. They struggled a lot last time out, unfortunately. Killer Blue, like I said, crashed out in the early phases, was running at the front of the field. Unfortunately, a very unfortunate incident for him. A light tap with the wall took his front right tyre off of his car, and that meant he couldn't continue any further. But XL probably another one to look out for tonight, looking to bounce back after a poor run in the Netherlands.
Yeah, do you remember back to Vietnam, the second round of the season, when I think it was M Short who absolutely dominated the race, and so we know what all the XL drivers, what they're capable of. The question is again whether they can put it together, have a mistake-free night. That they were desperately unlucky with Killer Blue last time out in the Netherlands, because I mean, if you watch the incident back, it was next to nothing. But they're going to have to put that behind them and try and recover tonight. XL look to championship contending team after the second round. We'll see if they can put it all together. Let's see how they get on there as Verstappen rounds the king of turn 20. Now heading to the line. We'll see how last month's race winner gets on in the first lap of the evening.
Yeah, down that really long, about 2 kilometres, you're nearly flat on the throttle. It's such a long run down towards turn 1. Here he comes into the 90 left end of turn 1, hits the curb nicely, runs over the curb on the exit of the corner to get as much track width as he can. Into turn 2, a little bit tighter than turn 1, comes out onto the second DRS zone on this track out of 2. Coming down here, a great overtaking opportunity if you're close enough coming out of turn 2 towards turn 3, which is again another 90 left hand corner, braking about 100 metres into the corner nicely. Don't hit the curb on the inside. You don't want to hit a lot of curbs at this track. They are very high and they can spin you offline. Turn 4, then another 90 right corner, and now into the end of the first sector, into the chicane of 5 and 6. Look for this one to be a bit of a spot in the start of this race. It really does Constantino up from here on out as he now heads down this short back straight down towards the hairpin of turn 7, famous where Nico Hulkenberg crashed out of maybe a podium contention in 2017, and now into the castle section. So famous for this track, definitely the most iconic part of the track, through 8 and 9, through 10, and then 11 at the top of the hill, and then 12, another 90 left corner, down to this back straight with a few kinks in it as well. You can make an overtake stick if you are side by side coming up to the next corner, but it is a very risky move. Through the kink of 14 and out into 15, the downhill corner, downhill braking zone. Don't take too much curb on the inside because you can bounce out to the outside wall. Verstappen did, but just got away with it. And now into turn 16, the last proper corner on the track, the first corner in the final sector. Now it is a flat run through the line, through the kink of 17, through the kink of 18, through the kink of 19. 19, it can be very difficult in the race. You can understeer into the wall if you're too close to the car in front. Now through the kink of 20, and now we just wait for the DRS to open. Very long run to turn 1. As I said earlier on, look for maybe people's ERS to really run out towards the end of their qualifying laps. Verstappen seems to have held his nicely, keeps to the left hand side, crosses the line with a 37.6 to start out qualifying. That is a very good banker for Verstappen, laying down the gauntlet. Spaghetti Chips in the Academy team car goes into third place. Killer Blue now jumps up to the front of the field on 37.7. Gary goes just behind him in the other XL car on a 37.8. So it's a good start to qualifying for XL, currently running second and third. Verstappen though currently on provisional pole position. Let's see if anyone can beat that. Scuba goes fourth on a 38.2 for the main TTG team. Let's look further down as well. Cortez for QVR now goes fourth as well. So look out for a lot of people to set their times as they come across the line, but great opening lap for Verstappen.
Yeah, but he is getting pushed hard as well by those XL drivers who yet again excel so far in qualifying. Please excuse the pun, but they are definitely up there again. Yeah, Verstappen setting the pace at the moment. Expect maybe the fastest drivers in the field to eke into the 36s towards the end of the session. Otherwise, expect times in the low 37s. There's another 37 though. Scuderi Seb goes to the top of the timesheets, then narrowly edging out Verstappen. Only 0.05 of a second separating those two drivers. So Scuderi Seb maybe making a little bit of an announcement to this field. We'll see if he's able to stack up with the rest of them out there. Of course, Scuderi Seb racing for SRL. So, of course, they've not had a great start to the season. To have him up there already is a really good sign. And OSRO, who currently sat, I believe, down there in 8th place in the standings, correct me if I'm wrong, they have a really good chance of moving up there. Scuderi Seb on provisional pole. We know it could all change, but a great start for that team.
Yeah, look out for them as this one goes on. Scuderi Seb really has made a name for himself recently. He's really been showing up a lot in league races, so he's really put his name out there, and that's a great time for this session to go ahead of Verstappen, last month's race winner. That is a real gauntlet that he's set down for the OSRL team. Can his OSRL teammate Matthias jump up to the front as well? We've both commentated over him in the past. This is his first race this season, and he has got a lot of pace if he can keep the car on the road. He's got a lovely tow from the car in front of him on the road, so this could massively help him down this back straight. They're going to dive into the pit lane. I think that's one of the LR drivers that's diving into the pit lane, but here comes Matthias to the line. Where can he go? He goes P7, slap bang in the middle of all the people that have set their time so far on a 38.1, half a second off of his teammate so far, but it's still a good banker lap in this qualifying session. We're still waiting for Vapor King, VR Jules, J Ghost, Vapor Damon, Bear Remy and TTGA Cam to set lap times. Vapor Damon is on a lap currently, as is his teammate Vapor King. They're both on the track very close to each other, so we'll ride with Vapor King as he comes through turn 16 and then down this long pit straight. What can he do in qualifying? Vapor currently running in the middle of the pack really so far. They've not really made that much of an impression at the front of the field, but they have been solid top 10 finishers so far this season. Can they keep that form up? Can they get further to the front of the field? Vapor King then through the kink of 20, getting ready to open his DRS zone. The DRS zone is actually quite short relative to how long this pit straight is. Now keeps it towards the left hand side for the shortest run to the line. Where can King go with this? Lap time is only 13th for the time being on a 38.6. His teammate Vapor Damon crosses the line directly behind him on the road, and he only goes P16 with a 39.4, so maybe made a little bit of an error on that lap. Vapor not off to the best starts of qualifying, and so far the field spread here at Baku is quite large.
Yeah, although it's mainly just a few, I'd say a few outliers towards the back that maybe just didn't quite put the lap together. Up at the front, though, it's extremely close between the top three, and you're only talking about 0.07 of a second separating them. So it is still very competitive and very much in doubt as well. So keep an eye out for maybe more times coming in and maybe upsetting that balance. So let's keep an eye out as well. I'm seeing Petrum, he's just dived into the pit lane. TG Cam has just started a lap. Everyone on the soft tires. Tire deck isn't particularly high at this track, so everyone is opting to run those softs here in qualifying. Maybe some alternate strategies we could see outside the top 10, but inside the top 10 we're definitely going to be seeing everyone starting on those Red Bull tires. Let's keep an eye out, see anyone else. A lot of drivers have now completed their first runs, now on outlaps. I know you got J Ghost on a lap out there as well, so a little bit quiet. We'll keep an eye on some of these guys. J Ghost and Cam, who haven't set times yet, going around. We'll see if they're able to put themselves up there. Currently at the bottom of the timesheets, but can work their way up then. As yeah, I did see Cam actually maybe even setting a purple first sector, so good stuff from those guys so far. Let's see if they can keep it going.
Yeah, through the middle sector of the lap then. Now Cam will be the next person to complete a lap time. J Ghost, like you said, directly behind him on the road. J Ghost, another one to look out for. Third place finish last time out. Did a very, very solid job for LR when I believe they only had one car in play last time out. So he's done a very good job at holding them at the front of the field. So let's see if he can do the same again this time round. And Lyronix currently running in 9th. Lyronix, every time he's raced so far this season, has been right at the front of the field. He's not quite there as of yet, but there's still quite a few minutes to go left in this qualifying session. So expect to see him at the front. Verstappen has just started his next run in qualifying as well. Cam then a 14 flat. That is very quick. He runs a little wide out of 16, but gets away with it amazingly. So through the kinks of the final sector then, he's going to run up to the line. It is flat from here, so how fast is that car in a straight line? Is he compromising maybe a little bit in the middle sector so that he can get a better run down this pit straight, or is he doing the exact opposite? Now coming up to the line, where can Cam go? This looks like it could be maybe into the 37s if he gets across the line in time. What's it going to be? It's a 38.1, goes P8. That's a good lap time from Cam, puts him ahead of Scuba, who's in the main team at the moment, just fractionally beaten by J Ghost, who also just a 38.1, only half a tenth clear of Cam. So good lap time from Cam, and so far that might be one of the TTG Academy team's best qualifying positions of the season so far.
Let's see if they can keep that one going again. But yeah, they've not had a good run of things so far this season. But yeah, Cam up at 9th, maybe looking to try and turn those things around. We're seeing a lot of other drivers now beginning their second runs, and they are currently progressing on. We'll keep you updated to see when the lap times start to come in. Who's furthest on a flying lap, I wonder. Let's have a look out there. See, I do see a car coming up to the line. I also see Verstappen's in the final sector, but has a backed off of a lap time and is going to go for another run out there. So yeah, a little bit quiet, but now everyone's starting to gear up. We're into the second half of this session. We're going to see the second runs coming in very, very soon. It's going to race Ev. Still in provisional pole with proceedings so close at the top, that can all change. It's going to race Ev holds the top of this. I saw someone improving up there, up the field. Who was that moving up? Not sure
Cortez,
if we quite spotted it.
That was Cortez, I believe, maybe. I think that might have been Cortez. Oh no, it's not Cortez, sorry. He's just started another lap, but I was just on board with Killer Blue. Killer Blue's nearly 0.2 of a second up on his personal best, so this could be a new provisional pole position time for Killer Blue, trying to redeem himself for the race last time out in Netherlands. Obviously, like we said, went horribly wrong for him. Where can he put the XL team at the moment? Currently 4th on the grid, goes provisional pole with a 37.5, still under a 10th clear at the front of the field. It's still so close, but that's crucial for Killer Blue to get up the field. Someone else has just improved on the track behind him as well. Didn't quite see who that was, unfortunately, but someone else has gone to the front of the up through the field a little bit. That might have been Jules actually that's gone up for the VER team. Someone else has just beaten him up the field as well. That was Scuba, who's improved to P6, so he's working his way forwards now. TTG running 4th and 6th currently in qualifying. Still very, very close. We've got another car coming up to the line. Didn't quite see who that was, unfortunately. That might have been Kuhnblai. It is Kuhnblai that's crossed the line. P10 only for Kuhnblai so far. He's now down to P11 because Lyronix has just gone back into P9 for the Leonist team, unfortunately. So that means Kuhnblai is now outside of the top 10. A little bit uncharacteristic from Kuhnblai, who obviously finished on the podium in the first round of the season. So maybe struggling a little bit here at Baku.
I'm watching Cortez. They're coming up to the line. He's 4/10 up. That's going to be a big lap here. And he does go into P2. Pepping, and that's actually, he is an Academy team driver. That's very, very impressive from QVR Cortez to get himself onto the front row provisionally. But Scooter ASM behind is flying along as well and could replace Killer Blue at the top of the time sheets. Here we go then, coming through around the king of turn 20 and now to the line. Let's see where Scooter ASM 27 is going to go. Perpetuum!
Wow!
Didn't even clock that! Has completely blown everything out of the water! Scooter ASM goes second, but Perpetuum Mobile, who was such a force last time out in the Netherlands, has done it again! A 37 flat, over 2/10 clear at the moment, has completely blown everything out of proportion, and now we're going to see, I did think that we could be seeing times towards the 36s. Now a 36 is going to be necessary to replace that pole position time. So a great lap for Perpetuum. Can anyone get up to that? A lot of drivers, I suspect, will have potential trying to prove that. But what a lap for Perpetuum Mobile. Is he going to hang on to it though with 5.5 minutes left?
That completely came out of nowhere. I forgot to look at Perpetuum Mobile. I was so focused on Seb's lap. It looked so like it was going to be Scuderia Seb on pole position. Perpetuum from absolutely nowhere. I don't know how he missed it. He was so fast last time out in the Netherlands, and he's done it again, like you say, pole position by nearly 0.3 of a second now. That is a big margin compared to the rest of the field. He's over 0.5 of a second clear of 3rd place on the grid, so that is a tall order for a lot of people to get to the front of the field. Just currently riding on board with Matthias, the other OSRL driver, currently 9th on the grid on a 38.1. Let's see what he can do throughout the session. Can he further improve on his place? We've got more people on laps. Vapor King, I believe 17th on the grid, is currently on a lap as well, trying to improve for the Vapor team. Currently runs 17th and 20th in qualifying, as, oh my word, Matthias so close to the outside wall there at turn 15, gets away with it as Matthias goes through the second sector split, half a second up on his personal best, so he's finding time as well. This could put him right in the thick of that battle for the front row. Can he get maybe inside the top 5? Can that promote OSR Rail now right to the front of the championship? Can they insert themselves as maybe championship contenders? Matthias is going to get a lovely tow as well down towards the line. He's got 2 cars directly in front of him. They're both going into the pits. That looks like that's both Team TTG cars, as now across the line goes Matthias, P6 in the under 37.6. Good time for Matthias. OSRL currently running 2nd and 6th, and that is by far their best qualifying of the season. That is a brilliant time for Matthias, but still, I cannot get over that lap from Perpetuum. That is just miles faster than everyone else.
We'll see if anyone else, maybe everyone else just hasn't been able to quite find the potential that they have and Perpetuum has We will see, of course, but nailing a lap at Baku is so difficult, and David Perpetuum has just put it all together. We will see if anyone's able to overhaul it in the final stages of this qualifying session. Let's have a look and see who else is up flying lap. Verstappen has just started one. Damon is nearing the end one for Team Vapor. Let's have a look and see where he's going to be standing at then. He comes through. He has 6 tenths up in his lap, of course. Currently at the bottom of the timesheets, struggling a little bit more as maybe put the time down here, but he can still maybe move up a few positions up to maybe where Christian is. As yeah, we'll see there's a bit of separation between the rest of the grid and the bottom 5. We'll see if those guys are able to try and get back up there. Vapor Damon now opens up that DRS, coming to the line, and where is he going to go? Is it going to get him off the back of the grid? It does put him into 18th place, but Vapor struggling out there at the moment, currently still down in 17th and 18th positions. I'm watching DDG Cam. Oh, massive cut down there at turn 15, and yet that is going to bring an end to that campaign of a lap. Let's look at where QVR Verstappen is. It was a good first sector. Remember, that lap was right at the start of the session, so Verstappen must have more time in it, but he's also invalidated down there at 15, and he's going to have to back off of that. And does he have enough time? Does he have enough fuel even to get a lap together? He's 4 tenths up, he's flying on a lap, and that invalidation's going to cost him big time. Would have at least been a front row for Verstappen, but now he's going to have to do it all again, if he can do it all again.
Well, I don't think he's going to have enough time to come into the pit lane and go back out. We've only got 2 minutes left in the session. That won't be enough time for him to get back in his garage, and he's not backed off. He's still in hot lap mode. He is diving into the pits, but I'm sure that that's not enough time to get back out for another run, so Verstappen might be consigned to at least 5th on the grid, unfortunately. He will not be able to improve on that. Such a shame. Was looking for a front row start. That would have been a great lap, but unfortunately, just like what Cam did, invalidated on the inside of turn 15. It's so easy to do, so inviting to jump over that inside curb. You see a lot of people doing it, but you can push it too far, and that's exactly what both of those drivers have done. Cam and Verstappen back in the pit lane. Can either of them get out in time? I don't think they'll be able to, so we're now looking at the final few people getting ready to start their runs. Jules is currently on a run, currently 13th. VER have improved from their first runs. Nicholas Vett currently runs 7th. That's a good lap from him on a 37.8. Can Jules get up with his teammate? Currently on a 38.1 is Jules, 13th on the grid, just behind Kuhn Bly and just ahead of TTG Cam. Where is he going to be by the end of the second sector? Is he improving on his time? Coming through then the back kinks of 13 and 14, ready for turn 15. To see if he's another one that might fall foul to that inside curb at 15. Is he able to keep it on the road and keep it out the wall on the exit of the corner? Verstappen's retired from the session. He hops over that curb to Jules, slightly taps the outside wall, but gets away with it down towards turn 16. The car in front just moves out the way, but Jules is only a 10th up on his time. That will gain him a couple places, but it would just put him inside the top 10, and is invalidated coming out of turn 16, and is going to get a little bit held there behind his teammate before the start of his lap. So unfortunately, Jules is not going to improve on 13th on the grid. That is such a shame to see. Matthias is another one that has retired in the pit lane. He's not going to be improving on 6th place. Gary has set a lightning first sector. He's a 10th and a half up on his personal best at the moment. Let's see what he can do. Currently, his teammate runs 3rd. He's still on an outlap. Can Gary get to the front of the field as well in the second XL car? Currently going through the castle section. We've got more people coming up to the line. Someone, I believe, has just gone further up the field. I didn't quite see who that one was. We'll have to wait and see. But Gary then coming through the top of the track, coming towards turn 15. Is he going to be the one that falls foul of this curb? He takes a lot less curb than other people. Slides a little bit on the exit. Doesn't get the best run out of the corner. But by the end of the second sector, Gary is 4 tenths up. He's finding a lot of time. This could put him onto that second row of the grid. This could put him ahead of his teammate at the moment. And his teammate's on a lap as well. So there's still improvement in that lap from Killer Blue. Where is Gary going to go? That long run, that endless run now down to the straight. How fast is that car in a straight line? Is it going to be enough to get him right to the front of the field? Jay Ghost has just gone 7th for the LR team on a 37.7. That's a good lap from him. Where does Gary go then? Currently 9th, goes 3rd ahead of his teammate. Great improvement for Gary. That's now XL 3rd and 4th, still with Killer Blue on a lap at the moment. We've got more people coming to the line. Florian's coming up to the line, I believe. Scooter Rear Seb, has he just crashed? He has. Scooter Rear Seb's crashed in the castle section on his final run. Perpetuum didn't make it to the line in time, I don't think, to start his final run, so he's not going to be improving. Gary then, he's only 3rd. Killer Blue and Cortez really are the only ones that can stop them from going on to pole position, and Cortez couldn't improve on his time, so he stays 5th at the time being. Someone else has just crossed the line. That was Lyronix, he's only 11th. That's well off where he's been all season long. Anyone else currently on a time that's going to challenge Perpetuum at the front of the field? You've got to think that the only one that can stop him is Killer Blue, and he's in the wall at turn 15. So on the final run, it seems everyone's going off in every direction. Scuderia Seb and Killer Blue both not able to improve. Cortez not able to improve. Someone else has just jumped up the field. That was Spag, who's gone into 9th place for the Academy team. What about Kuhnblei? He's only 12th on the grid. Scuba's next across the line for the TTG main team. Currently 11th on the grid. His teammates on pole. Where can Scuba go? He stays 11th. He doesn't improve either. So no one has been able to improve on their final runs apart from Gary, and Killer Blue's diving into the pit lane as well. So my word, the end of qualifying, no one apart from Gary really improved.
That was a rather bizarre final run, and it goes to show when you're really pushing here at Baku, it can be so difficult to do a lap without mistakes. We saw evidence of that here tonight, but in the end, a mid-session lap from Perpetuum Mobile, that did it for Team TTG. He wraps up that pole position, does very, very well. Exceller up the front of the grid as well. It's going to race out for OSRL. OSRL have a very successful qualifying. So a mixed up grid ahead of the race, and my oh my, that's an exciting prospect.
Yeah, and this is by far, you've got to say, the worst qualifying of the season so far for our championship leaders. The QVR main team out-qualified by the Academy team. So Perpetuum currently on pole position, ahead of Scuderia Seb, 2/10 of a second clear at the front of the field. Gary and Killer Blue for Excel 3rd and 4th, and it's Cortez for the Academy team 5th. Verstappen, the lead main driver, in 6th. Then it's Matthias, Jago, Spag, Nicholas that rounds off the top 10. Then it's Scuba, Vapor King, Kuhnblei, Lyronix, Jules, Cam, Christian, Bayremi, Vapor Damon, and TTGA Florian that rounds off the grid at the back of the field. And you've got to say there's quite a few people out of place in this one. Most noticeably, obviously, Kuhnblei and Lyronix, two people that have already been on the podium this season, 13th and 14th on the grid. They've got a lot of ground to make up.
We'll see if they can do it. Of course, mistake-free race can go so far here in Azerbaijan. So I wouldn't say it's over by any stretch of the imagination if they can keep it clean off the start, which is going to be the main thing. There's a huge, as you were alluding to earlier in qualifying, huge concertina effect going through the 90-degree corners, particularly I want to say at turn 2, when, you know, it's a very slow corner, very narrow, very tight, where drivers get so bunched up into there and you often see accidents. So it's an opportunity for drivers to gain. It's also a danger for drivers to lose out. So we'll see how that all unfolds. We at the start here at Azerbaijan can be so unpredictable. And yeah, you can see the order really shuffling around over the first lap.
Yeah, and I'm going to repeat that famous quote that the race is never won on the first lap, but it can certainly be lost. You may have to take the pain at the start of the race for the gain later on. And like you say, it's so difficult to really get a clean race in here. Even a slight mistake, as we've seen in qualifying from a lot of people at the front of the field, just slightly running wide, and that's a lot of your front wing gone. And around this track, losing your front wing can cost you seconds a lap, because not only is there a lot of corners that relies on a lot of front downforce, but it's just a long track in general as well. So a lot of time can be lost by picking up damage here. So being clean is the first thing you need to do as well. And despite that 2-kilometer long flat straight, pretty much, with the kinks in the middle of it, from 16 all the way to the start finish line in turn 1, other than that, there's not really a lot of overtaking opportunities at this track.
Yeah, it is of course a straight circuit. You cannot forget that. So yeah, the opportunities to overtake can be quite slim, and mainly I'd say your best set up for an overtake is probably if the car in front of you has some sort of damage, which is quite common. Usually races at Baku are filled with overtaking, but usually going through that first sector with the DRS zones. We'll see how that all plays out, and it also, what I'm hoping to see here, this track is also the mother of photo finishes, I will just say that. So I'm hoping to see at least one of them here tonight, a thrilling conclusion to a race you can never shy away from. So here we go then, looks like we are just about ready to get going. Codemasters lobbies haven't been great over the last week or so, so I'm holding out for hopefully it's going to work out just fine here tonight. We are taking a little while to load in, I must add.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Just as you were saying that, I've just seen a few people saying in the comment section that the lobby may be a little bit glitched. So I think Codemasters have beaten you to the punch in that one, so the game just looked like it's had a little bit of a problem, unfortunately. Like you say, it has been all too common recently in the past couple of weeks after the last update and since the PS5 has come out, unfortunately. But fingers crossed, we can get that sorted. Maybe we get a lobby restart and get straight into the race with hopefully no problems for any of the teams. We don't want to see really anyone lose out because of any sort of lobby glitch. That would be far too unfair on these teams and these drivers if that does happen. So fingers crossed we can get it restarted with everybody in the lobby. We'll have to wait and see. But just going back onto qualifying, just have a re-look back at that qualifying order. Obviously, we have to put another word out. We said it a couple times midway through the session already, but we've got to say something about that lap from Perpetua Mobile in the middle of the session from absolutely nowhere, and wasn't challenged really. No one could get close to that time in the end. What a lap time from Perpetua, and maybe this time round TTG could pick up that first win of the season.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure on Perpetuum's shoulders, of course, to try and bring that one home. Of course, I do think there's a lot of other drivers that have the pace to challenge over a race distance. We saw Killer Blue go off on his final run. He wasn't far off on the second run, so he could have maybe challenged. Of course, Perpetuum didn't even get a chance, though, to improve on that final run. But it's going to be fascinating. If you don't get damage on this track, I would say it's probably one of the easier tracks to actually stay with someone. There's not too many high-speed corners, so the dirty air isn't too effective. And of course, you get that DRS, hugely powerful DRS, down the straights towards turns 1 and turn 3. So yeah, you can definitely stay with it. And it's going to be all about staying out of the walls here tonight when we actually get into the race, which unfortunately doesn't look like it's going to be anytime soon.
Yeah, unfortunately that is going to be the case. I think we are getting a lobby restart, so fingers crossed that we will get hopefully into that lobby pretty soon. But in the meantime, we'll just continue to run through the order, really the order of qualifying, and just see who else kind of shocked us and who else surprised us. And let us know in the comment section as well who you guys are supporting and who you guys were shocked with in qualifying. I think another one we've got to mention though is OSRL, currently equal 8th in the standings, only on 35 points. They're nearly 100 points off the championship lead after 3 rounds. They really have had really a shocking start to the season, unfortunately. But Scuderia Seb and OSRL Matthias in his first round, 2nd and 7th on the grid. This is a massive opportunity for them to jump right to the front of the field.
Yes, but of course, qualifying is far from being a big half the battle. So yeah, there's certainly a lot of work to be done for those guys. But yeah, we'll see if they're able to try and pull it off. Yeah, we could see a real reshuffling. It seems like everyone's now back out of the lobby. So yeah, it looks like we are going to get a restart. I think I'm going to back out as well. So we'll get that sorted as quick as we can for you guys. Hopefully you're all staying tuned in. Hopefully you're enjoying the stream so far. Hugely sorry for the inconvenience. It's just the nature of this game sometimes, and I think it takes a toll on its all. But yeah, hopefully we can get this going as soon as we can and get back to that racing we all know and love.
Yeah, I've just seen a brilliant comment in the stream actually from Riley saying that it's Among Us. I think Codemasters is the imposter, so I love that. Anything to do with Among Us, any Among Us memes, absolutely love those. Yeah, that's brilliant stuff. Anyway, just going to keep running through qualifying as well, because obviously that's the main talking point of this session so far. We've not got into the race. Just re-looking back at that qualifying order, obviously we say Perpetuum had a great qualifying. The top 13 were all within 9/10 of pole position, around one of the longest tracks on the calendar. So that is a really, really close qualifying, despite the fact that Perpetuum ended up over 0.2 of a second clear on pole position. Another team we've got to mention though in this one is the Academy team. Obviously the Academy team, as you would expect for any Academy team, wouldn't necessarily outperform the main team of thing, but a QVR Academy, great qualifying for them, currently 5th and 9th on the grid, ahead of Verstappen and Koen Blij, which are 6th and 13th on the grid. So the QVR Academy team doing brilliantly, as well as Cortez in his first round, and this is the first time I've ever commentated over Cortez. That is a great first impression.
Yeah, we'll see if he can keep that one going, and certainly as a member of QVR, we'll be looking at maybe some promotions in the future if he can keep that going. But yeah, he did a great job though. Certainly in that qualifying session, we'll see if that's going to carry over to the race. Of course, a much more high pressure. Hopefully, joining into it as soon as we possibly can, and yeah, we can get back to racing. Custom grid's going to have to be set up for us first off. XL Gary's lobby host, so I know him quite well. Gary, let's get this one sorted out as quick as we can, please. So yeah, we'll just wait for everyone to jump in, and yeah, we'll get back to things. But yeah, I'm really excited for this one. Of course, that qualifying at such a technical track, as we mentioned, has massively mixed up the grid. And unlike sometimes, for example, last time out in Netherlands, you saw TTG dominate the front of the grid. You saw QVR Australia dominate the front of the grid. You don't really have a team. Obviously, you have drivers, individual drivers standing out, but in terms of a whole team formation up at the front of the grid, besides maybe the XL boys, there really isn't much you're going to be seeing. So cooperation at the front may be a little bit limited, and there's going to be a lot of intra-team battling going on at the front, and that's going to be certainly one to look forward to in those first few laps especially.
Yeah, and we really saw a lot of that teaming up action, like you say, especially in Australia with the two QVR drivers. They kind of just sat within each other's DRS and just held Lyronics back for pretty much the entire race, and that was a great strategy from them. And we saw the same thing really from TTG last time out. They were doing the same thing at the front of the field. Unfortunately, it didn't quite go their way, unfortunately, with that safety car at the end, but that is still exactly what they did. And like you say, a real spread in the field in terms of the teams. That is going to be very interesting. Like you say, Excel were the closest team, 3rd and 4th on the grid. Other than that, the closest team you've got to say has to be OSRL, 6th and 7th. And then other than that, it's probably the QVR Academy team. Oh yeah, let's get there right. Yeah, I'm losing my mind already. But anyway, yeah, that's obviously... Then obviously the next closest team after that, and then you'd have to say that the QVR Academy team is the next closest after that, which is a little bit surprising because you would expect obviously the front runners of the championship to be the teams to look out for. But like we've already said, the QVR main team not having the best of qualifyings, and neither really did Leonis. I mean, J Ghost is currently 8th on the grid going into this race, but that's the highest position that they could get from qualifying. They weren't able to get any higher than that. Lyronics only 14th. So this looks like this could be the round where maybe everything starts to shift.
Yeah, of course. One of the things that really sets this championship apart is because you're seeing new faces popping up on the grid in every race we do on a monthly basis, and it means that the dynamic continues to shift. You're not really seeing too many patterns forming. You obviously see teams that are doing very well up the front and teams that are maybe struggling a bit more, but it can ebb and flow so much more, and the championship could get completely flipped on its head between now and the end of the season, which is still an awful long way away, of course. So, yeah, it's going to be so fascinating. We'll see, of course, if the teams that have done well so far, like your QVRs or TTGs, your XLs, if they can hold on there, or if you can maybe see like we've seen OSRL, who have not had a great start to the season, really shining and qualifying, and see if they can try and pick things off, maybe run a bit better in the race and start climbing up the standings from the lowly position they're in at the moment.
Yeah, and that is really, like you say, the beauty of this championship is the fact that you're not set on your drivers as soon as the season starts. Obviously, this season runs all the way through into the midpoint of next year, so this season's going to be going on for months after this. It's almost like a real season of Formula One, which is, I love it. I love the dynamic that you've got like a month in between each race, so you've got a lot of time to prepare for each round, and you can pick the best drive. Each team can pick the best drivers for each round, and that is obviously one of the great things about this thing is it's an ever-changing dynamic, like you say. Just looking as well, that's going to be one thing to look forward to for the rest of the season, is seeing who gets put into each team. And I think the biggest beauty, I think, of this one as well is all the new people we get to see from this. I don't know if you notice this as well. Obviously, we commentate on some other things as well, obviously, like different league racing TV events as well. But the Esports Masters League is where I'm kind of introduced to a lot of new drivers, and I really love being able to commentate over those new people. And I don't know if you feel the same about that, Daka, but I just love being able to see new drivers and see what they're like.
Oh yeah, definitely, and yeah, I have the exact same experience. A lot of drivers that have raced in this that I'm not particularly familiar with. There's some obviously that I know very well, but that contrast comes through again, and you can really just it's very exciting as a commentator to be able to cover that and just see how well the drivers that you don't know so well fare against the drivers that you're more accustomed to seeing racing on a weekly basis. So it's very fascinating, and yeah, I'll be honest, I love the format for this championship. It's so intriguing. Of course, you liken it to a season of Formula One. The races are more spread out than your average season of Formula One.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a very unique style of championship, and yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far. And of course, still such a long way to go. And one thing that you mentioned about team changes, a year, this championship runs for 9 to 10 months. A year is probably the equivalent of 5 years. A year in esports is probably the equivalent of 5 years in the real world. So things change so quickly in terms of who's at what teams. So that's going to be another thing to look out for as well. So yeah, you're going to see lineup shifting all the time, team fortune shifting all the time, and we'll see how it evolves yet again. Here at Baku, we're nearing the halfway point in the season. That will of course be at next month's race. But yeah, really enjoying it so far, and I can't wait to get this one underway and see how the championship will continue to ebb and flow after the 4th round of the season here at Azerbaijan.
Yeah, that's going to be it's going to be great to watch that throughout the rest of the season. We'll just run you through actually what the rest of the calendar actually looks like for the rest of the season, so you guys know what's coming up just before we get ready to get going. Looks like everyone's readying up. So thank you very much to Excel Gary if he's watching this for getting the custom grid done for us. That is probably one of the hardest jobs that people have to do in league racing at the moment, is getting these custom grids ready. But thank goodness for him for doing that. But yeah, the rest of the calendar after Azerbaijan, we go to Canada for the Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve for the next round of the season. That will take place on the 16th of December. Obviously, it won't take place right at the end of the month, so we've actually got a shorter gap between this one and the next round. Then it's Britain, then it's Belgium, then it's Italy, then it's Singapore for the penultimate round of the season, and then we finish off in Brazil on the 26th of May next year, which feels like ages away. I mean, we know what's happened in the real world in the last year. Who knows what's going to be happening in the real world by the time we get to May, which is in 6 months' time. That's going to be crazy to think where we are. But yeah, the calendar actually itself for the rest of the season, I think the organisers of this have done a really good job at getting loads and loads of different styles of track into the calendar.
Yeah, and of course, you've seen sort of, I'd say, the more modern tracks towards the start of the season. Of course, I'd say towards the second half, you're seeing more and more of the classical circuits, the traditional ones. You know, you got your Bretons, your Brazils, so on. So yeah, that's going to be one to look forward to. And yeah, I'd say some of the, I'm going to say, more popular tracks are coming up in a few months. So I can't wait to see how the drivers are going to tackle that. Expect a bit of an inspired charge from everyone as you get to the business end of the season at that point. For now, though, we are going to focus on what we have in front of us, which is, of course, Baku City Circuit. And now we have drivers in the lobby again. I do hope that we're not going to have the same issue. Nope, we're getting the countdown. We are going to go ahead with things this time around. Formation lap, of course, followed by the 26th lap 50% race that we're going to have in store for you guys tonight. Thank you all for your patience out of this one. And yeah, we hope that we, the commentators, and they, the drivers, can produce you, can give you, the spectators, a great race to watch. So here we go now, readying up, getting set for this fourth round of the season here at Azerbaijan. Drivers are now ready. Let's get this one started.
Yeah, fingers crossed everyone gets onto the grid. We're just waiting to see after this loading time if everyone does load in. Fingers crossed we do. Hopefully we don't get stuck on this loading page once again, because that might be a pain if we do. But just one thing that people are pointing out in the comment section is the fact that obviously there's a new dynamic that's been added in with this lobby restart, is the fact that obviously because of this new lobby restart, now people are going to be starting on fresh tyres, especially those people inside the top 10, which means that strategy call may be a little bit different this time round. So people you would maybe see usually doing the soft hard strategy around this track may be switching to a soft medium because they have the fresher, softer compound tyres to pull that strategy off. So that really can really disadvantage the people outside the top 10, as unfortunately the gods aren't shining on us today, guys. Unfortunately, it does look like we've got exactly the same issue. So if anyone knows any people that work at Codemasters, if you could get them to just watch this stream so that when the next update comes out they can actually fix this issue. But yeah, I think if anyone knows anyone at Codemasters, then just send this to them. But yeah, unfortunately we do have the same issue, so we're gonna have to find a few more talking points to
yeah, hopefully we do actually get a race tonight. Of course, I'm hoping not that we don't run on. We are getting quite near to the time of the Premier Division that I think we're going to overlap with, unfortunately. Sit tight. We're going to see what we can do about that. We now have XL Gary leaving the session, so I'm guessing we're going to give it another bash. We'll keep you updated on what's going on behind the scenes, and we can get you guys some answers as soon as we can. But yeah, the same issue twice in a row. That's not good for selection on Codemasters. Everyone leaving the lobby again. We're going to have to get another one set up, unfortunately.
Yeah, that is such a shame. Sorry again, guys, once again for the delay. I think you guys are probably just as frustrated as we are, unfortunately. But hopefully, these two delays, hopefully we'll get third time lucky, and fingers crossed the race will be worth the wait. And obviously a race at Baku, I think, is definitely worth the wait. And you said earlier on that this track is the mother of all places to get a photo finish, whether that's league racing or real life. We've had photo finishes in real life, obviously Bottas and Stroll battling for second and third at the end of the 2017 race. But I can specifically remember as well a Formula 2 race here last season that we had Baku, and I believe that the race winner in the end ended up being Paco Suarez. I believe took home the race victory by less than half a tenth of a second at the end of it over CRG Blizzard. It was such a close finish between those two drivers, and the fact that Paco Suarez came home with a race victory as well in a season he really struggled in, that was absolutely brilliant to watch. So if you have a free moment at some point in the week, go back and watch that, because that was absolutely incredible. And I was commentating on it on the time and I was losing my mind, and that was back when I had an older mic, so it was a little bit difficult to listen to because my mic was peaking quite heavily because I was screaming at the top of my lungs, but it was still absolutely brilliant to watch. Absolutely brilliant. But yeah, I don't know if you've had anything like that in the past with Baku either, but we'll just do a few more general conversation topics at the moment, because I think we've exhausted everything in the first break, Tucker. What's the best finish you've seen in a league race to date?
Oh, we're going down this road. I'm guessing we are allowed to mention other leagues at this point. Let's get this one going. Okay, best that I ever saw was very recently in League of Europe Division 2 at Bahrain, which was. Yeah. Do you remember that one?
Yeah. Yeah, I was in it. Yeah, I was in the race. Yeah, I do remember that one.
Yeah, that was a stunning run to the line as well. I believe the margin of victory for Rakuric, who won the race, was like at less than half a tenth, or around about half a tenth. So very, very tight. So of course that wasn't even at Baku. I've seen quite a few ones at Baku. I remember seeing one in the TTG F2 league at the time. That was I think it was between Blizzard and Toxic. They had an amazing battle on the last. I think you were commentating on that one.
I was commentating because James Head's actually just put a comment in the stream, because James Head was actually commentating on that on the time me and him were commentating. That was back when I was the co-comms for Formula 2. Yeah, they were separated. James Head just actually put it in the chat saying that they were separated by 0.011 of a second when they crossed the line. And that was one of my first commentary gigs as well, was that race. So that was such a great way to get introduced into the whole world of commentary, to have that as one of the first ones as well. And I can remember when me and James were commentating over that. James, I know he'll probably admit to this as well, but he absolutely lost his mind over that race finish, and it was definitely absolutely amazing to watch. And that was another one at Baku. So yeah, Baku, like you said earlier on, such a good track to have that kind of finish on as well. Yeah, I was just trying to think as well. Everyone else, send in your things in the chat. What's your best memory in league racing? What's your best what's your best finish in league racing? Have you been involved in a photo finish like that? What's your favourite moment in league racing? Let us know what you think, guys. I've just seen Campbell saying that I've done a shameless IRO plug on stream because I'm currently on the main menu screen, so I am shamelessly plugging the little team that I'm in, unfortunately. But don't take that too seriously. But yeah, that was absolutely brilliant, that one me and James had as well. But yeah, it's been such a really league racing on this game. Obviously, we have had a few frustrations on this game, unfortunately, with a few online lobby glitches. Obviously, the timing glitches you guys see quite often in online ones, and then issues like this as well. But you have to say that the real change in dynamic in this game has really helped league racing.
Oh yeah, certainly. And I think it's been more of a joy to watch races for me than it has been to actually compete in them. It's a very high stress environment. It's racing, but yeah, obviously watching the races and seeing all the action unfold in front is always a spectacle to behold. And I'm sure for you guys that I'm sure both love both racing and watching league races, you know exactly what I mean. They're always a joy to have a look at. And especially because I think that on this game in particular, I think the skill gap is quite a lot smaller than it has been on previous games. So you're typically going to get much closer grids, much more competitive racing, much tighter racing, and that's always a joy to watch. You know, I've seen even in this league where, to be frank, it's not. You know, when most leagues have certain divisions based on ability. This is not the case, but we still have an incredibly competitive grid that always put on a show, and hopefully we do actually get to see what that show is going to be produced here tonight. We do have a new lobby set up for you guys when we get going. But yeah, I just go back to your point earlier. I do think this game is very overtake button really adds a new strategic element to the racing. I think it's a massive improvement over the rather dreadful ERS system we used to have on the previous game. So yeah, that makes the racing much more interesting, and hopefully you're going to see more of that tonight.
Yeah, fingers crossed we do. And obviously the introduction of the ERS has meant that we do see a lot of DRS trainers. I think DRS trainers on this game, you either love them or you hate them. I think we love commentating over them, but we hate driving in them. I think that's definitely that's definitely the way of it. I've definitely experienced that as well. Is that especially when you're in the middle of a DRS train, it can get incredibly frustrating because you could just, apart from a strategy, it can get very difficult to work your way forwards. But that's the beauty of Formula One in real life and in the game as well. Is you don't necessarily have to have overtaking at every corner for a race to be exciting. It's all about that tenseness that you get throughout the race and how tense the race actually is going to be and how it makes you feel throughout of it. So that's part of it as well. So I definitely had to get used to it at the start of the game, but now that I'm used to it, I absolutely love it. I think it's great. So I have to wait and see if this plays out today as well. And you're definitely going to see a lot of DRS training at this track, aren't you? Obviously with that pit straight and the second straight as well, with the DRS zones that we have and the long straights throughout the whole circuit. DRS training at this track is going to be quite heavy, isn't it?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. We've seen that countless times in league races. We see it countless times in real life racing, Formula 1, Formula 2, you name it. Just any division of racing that you see at this track, virtual or in real life. That's always going to be the case here at Azerbaijan. So yeah, keep an eye out for that tonight. Certainly, we almost have a full lobby. We are waiting for one more driver. I imagine that maybe we could see some drivers maybe at this point beginning to get pressed with scheduling just because we are running about 20 25 minutes late at this stage of the event. So we see, no, we do have Vapor King now joins. We have a full grid. Right, we can start to get the custom grid set up for a second time. Again, a lot of credit to XL Gary. Actually now have Kublai going through. So those lobby hosts, shout out to those guys. They're working around the clock trying to put on a show for us tonight. We have a new lobby host, of course, in Kublai, so hopefully that's a bit of a good omen. We no longer have the terrible Irish internet of XL Gary holding us afloat, and so we can get things going with the much better renowned Dutch internet that hopefully is going to carry us through and put on a show for us here tonight.
Yeah, Gary's going to be absolutely gutted about this, that his internet has unfortunately let us down. I think we'll have to spam Gary with a few messages after this one saying, what on earth are you doing? But no, it is a shame, obviously, that is the case. But yeah, Kublai, he's been a lobby host already this season, and he when he was the lobby host, it went all right. So fingers crossed we have the same thing as well today. And thank you, obviously, to both Gary and Kublai for setting up these lobbies for us, getting ready for this race. Like we're saying, we are running a little bit over schedule, so Taco and myself are waffling on a little bit. We're just trying to fill the time for you guys before we get the race underway. And fingers crossed, like I said earlier on, the race will be something to behold, and I imagine it probably will be as well. And yeah, just looking through some of the stream chats as well, we've had 100 comments on this stream already, but the race hasn't even started. So thank you guys for being so... Yeah, for communicating with us, for communicating each other, for getting in touch with us on the stream. McCrew, fully agree with McCrew there, saying that ERS usage is key here, and that is definitely the case. It's so easy at this track to just burn through your ERS in the first couple of laps, and then just really suffer for the rest of the race.
Yeah, it can be so tempting because you think massive long straights has a great chance to gain some track possession. You need to be thinking about the race ahead. Because once you burn off your ERS with your overtake button, it's very, very difficult to just gain it back at any circuit. So you really have to be very cautious with how you're applying it over the first few laps of the race especially. So you might be able to gain track possession earlier on if you're more aggressive with it, but if it doesn't work out, well, you're still where you were before, and then you're at a disadvantage because you've burned through your energy recovery system, and then it's going to be a very tall order to stay with it. I'm going to go back to your earlier point on DRS trains. You mentioned how horrifying they are to be in the middle of. I can't say I have experienced much of that. I'm usually at the back of those trains when I race. But yeah, that's certainly something that we're going to look out for. Of course, Baku you're not going to see it where at some tracks, like you saw last time out at Zambor, you see where at least half the field may stay at a DRS train. It's probably not going to be the case here. You're probably going to see different pockets, I imagine, forming because it's so much easier to, chip off a bit of your front wing. Maybe making a mistake in any way could have huge consequences here at Baku. So expect the unexpected, surely, and yeah, that's what I'm going to be looking out for. Maybe those DRS trains maybe a little bit smaller in size, but that means probably that you're going to be seeing a lot more dynamic racing, could be shifting back and forth. And we see it so often here, certainly in virtual races that I've commentated on, that you've commentated on. you see sometimes in the last few laps of a race, it can just be a tactical battle, kind of like what you see at like something like an Indy 500, where often you don't want to be leading onto the last lap because of the DRS and the slipstream to the line. If you're in second place, you can easily overhold the leader right at the death, and we see it so often in both real life and virtual racing.
Yeah, I fully agree with you on that one. It is a case of kind of the last one to be there is the person in the right position. You kind of have to wait until the very last moment to get the move done here, because you see it in real life and virtual racing as well. It looks like we're getting ready, so hallelujah, Kuhnblei has done the grid for us. Thank you so much to Kuhnblei for getting that done for us, and fingers crossed, I've got fingers and toes and everything that I possibly can crossed that we'll get this race underway for you guys. Just looking through the stream chat as well, some of you guys. Dylan, XL Dylan has come in the comments sections. He's not racing today, but he said that the hard soft strategy is good around here, so look out for maybe some of the people outside of the top 10 to be going on that. And LOE Mark has just put in a memory saying that his best memory was me retiring. So, I mean, thank you so much for that one, Mark. Yeah, I mean, probably is one of my favourite ones as well. No, I'm just kidding, but yeah, it's that is. Yeah, the one thing to look out for is the strategies now outside the top 10. Like I mentioned, people inside the top 10 are going to have a fresh set of soft compound tyres that they didn't qualify on. So that obviously gives the people inside the top 10 a benefit. Can disadvantage now those people starting from 11th down to 20th. But if you were outside of the top 10, what strategy would you be going for?
Well, I probably wouldn't be starting on the softs. That's one thing you're going to be saying. Tyre deck, I mentioned it's not too high, where you can run like you could say a soft to hard, maybe even soft to medium. Soft to medium is probably a bit too ambitious, but a soft to hard strategy is definitely very possible to run. Of course, that's going to be eliminated though, because we've had to restart the lobby. It means, I think as you mentioned earlier, is that the top 10 will not be starting on the tyres that they qualified on, so they have a little bit of the wear taken off, which will definitely benefit them ahead of this one. As hopefully we do get underway. We are now just almost out back on track, so let's hold our breath. Hopefully we're going to get into it just fine. Countdown clock is now underway. We'll see if we actually get onto the formation lap when it is concluded. But yeah, it's going to be a lot to look forward to here tonight. It's such a unique track. The racing is just, it's unlike anything else you really see on the calendar here at Azerbaijan. Particularly the first few corners, it could be very, very messy. Hopefully everyone is able to keep it clean. Vapor King's out the session. Well, hopefully he can get back in before the end of things. We are now at that favoured loading screen. Yes, we are getting this underway.
Hey.
At last, we can get this one going on to the formation lap in front, ahead of the drivers. And let's have a look and see what the tyre choices are. And I have to say, one driver maybe hasn't followed the line that we were going for here.
Yeah, unfortunately, J Ghost is not starting on the softs. He's put the hard compound tyres on, so that pretty much will probably guarantee that J Ghost will get disqualified from this event, unfortunately, for Leonis Racing. That is such a shame. J Ghost 8th on the grid. He's the lead of the Leonis drivers, and Lyronic's currently 14th. They needed a good race to throw themselves back in the mix, but this has all but put J Ghost completely out of contention because of that change on tyres, so that is such a shame for him. He will not be able to really score points in this one unless there's something happens in the stewards, I don't know, but that is such a shame for him. That is the only one inside the top 10 that's fallen foul of that, unfortunately. So while he may have a good race on that alternate strategy, it's not really going to mean much for him, unfortunately. Just looking to the rest of the people that are outside the top 10, who is on what tyres. So Scuba down to Kuhnblei, so 11th to 13th. They're all on medium tyres. Lyronix has gone for the hard compound tyres, the same as his teammate. Jules and Cam and Christian have gone for the mediums. Bayremi has gone for the soft compound tyres, which is vastly different to everyone else around him. And then Vapor Damon and Florian at the back of the field are on the hard compound tyres, and it looks like Vapor King, I believe, has just rejoined the lobby, so he'll be able to hopefully start this race from 12th on the grid. But a few mixed strategies outside the top 10. The one to look out for in the opening laps has got to be Bayremi there on the soft compound tyres.
Oh yeah, certainly. We're going to have to look for that start that OWR Bayremi puts together. Track position is going to be so key, and for those guys on alternate strategies, damage is not an option, but damage can be such a possibility. That is the problem that those guys have. Up at the front of the field, it's not so bad, and up at the back of the field, we have a bit more space to move around. It's not so bad, but in that midfield, there's virtually no space to move around. You have to stick to your line. You have to make sure you're giving the car around you space, and you have to be on the lookout for incidents ahead and behind you, maybe collecting you. So these drivers are going to have to be so wary on this start, make sure they're not picking up damage, and that they can carry on a solid campaign here in this race tonight.
Yeah, I have to wait and see. Like I said earlier on, you can't win a race on the first lap, but you can certainly lose it. So, and the run down towards turn 1 here is incredibly short, so you're not going to gain it straight off the line. You're going to gain it as the lap goes on. So here we go then. Everyone is lining up on the grid. Finally, we can get round 4 of the Esports Masters League League 1 season underway. We've been delayed by about 25 minutes or so. It's been a long wait, but we are finally here. Perpetua Mobile on pole position. Scuderia Seb on the front row for OSRL. Who is going to get the best start off the front of the field? Is it going to be Perpetuum? Is it going to be Scuderia Seb for OSRL? Can the XL drivers put themselves right towards the front of the championship? We'll have to wait and see. Everyone getting ready into their grid slots then. And here we go. We should get the lights on ahead of the drivers. Fingers crossed for the start of this one. Just waiting for the lights to come on ahead of them. We might be a little bit delayed. That is such a shame if we are delayed. That might be because of Vapor King's disconnect, maybe through the through the formation lap, that we've actually got a delay. So, my word, we are unlucky tonight, guys. It does look like we've got another delay. What a shame. This could save Jay Ghostface, because obviously starting on the hards, he would be disqualified. So fingers crossed if we do get another lobby restart, which I really, really hope we do not get another lobby restart, but it looks like we might. If we do, Jay Ghost can somewhat save himself there and put the soft tyres on for the start of that race. But what a shame, guys. We are incredibly sorry that this has happened once again. I thought we were going to be third time lucky, and we got really excited, and then the formation lap ended, and we didn't even get to the first lap, and it's happened again. But I just don't know what to say at this point. It is such a shame, but that's just kind of the state of the game at the moment, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a real shame to see. And oh, no,
never mind.
We got a race.
We're going then, so the lights are on ahead of the drivers all of a sudden. We are going to get going for the race then, and off the line we go then. Off the line then, who's got the best start? It looks like Perpetuum's going to lead into turn 1. One of the XL cars has had a great start. That looked like that was Killer Blue that's had a brilliant start. Down the inside, he's up into second place already, and down the field falls Scuderia Seb. Maybe not prepared for the start of the race. It kind of came out of nowhere, and he's dropped now behind both XL cars. These timing glitches will sort themselves by the end of the first sector. There's a little bit of contact at the back of the field. Someone has spun the car towards the back. That might be Coombe. Oh, we've got a VSC, yeah, so a lot of people maybe have picked up damage maybe towards turn 2, and that's why it's come out. I think Coombe Bly might be one of those drivers that's fallen to the back of the field. Christian's picked up a 5-second time penalty for a collision with Florian behind the virtual safety car, unfortunately. So that's already a penalty hanging over Christian's head, and he currently runs towards the back of the field at the moment, as does Florian. They both started right at the back of the field, but coming through the first sector point, this is where the timing glitches should sort themselves out. Here we go then. We'll get the full running order for you then. Perpetua Mobile still leads the way at the front of the field. Killer Blue, though, and Gary, both XL drivers having great starts up to second and third. Scuderia Seb not really moving coming out of turn 1, has dropped down to 4th, but he's still all over the back of Gary, trying to work his way back in front. But look at the gap the top 2 have pulled already. Perpetua Mobile 1.5 seconds clear of Killer Blue, who is now 2.5 seconds clear of Gary. They've just cleared off into the distance.
Maybe Gary's tyres weren't switched on in that restart. Florian's going out. I think that's down at the castle section. Yellow's down there in sector 2. Yeah, they're at turn 8. Florian has gone off. TTG Academy having a disastrous time again, and Florian now out of the way in this race. He has cleared himself. We will not have a safety car or a VSC at the end of this first lap, so we'll keep proceedings going as per. Perpetua Mobile leads the way, 1.4 seconds in front of Killer Blue. Then comes Gary, but he's under heavy pressure. Scuderia Seb recovering from that start for Stabbins right with him as well. So here we go now, coming over the line. Scuderia Seb to the outside of XL Gary, running parallel down the straight. But does Scuderia Seb just have the legs on him? Is going to cruise around the outside, heading into the braking zone, and Gary lets it go, tucks back in into that 4th place. And Scuderia Seb moves up, recovering from that start for Stabbin now, tucking up behind it as Cortez and the Academy team for QVR chasing him down as well. We come out of turn 2, no DRS as of yet, unlike what the graphics may lead you to believe. We are still running on classical, no DRS at this stage, and the train for 3rd, 4th and 5th all forming into line. Looks nice and clean back there in the field. I think everyone is just holding their station back there. There's 2 QVR cars in the pit. There's Spag and QVR Coombe Bly. They've come in, as well as Christian and Damon, who I believe there was some collisions down there under the safety car. That's why you're seeing those pit stops near the back of the field. Crazy start here at Azerbaijan, but the top 2 got such a jump. Perpetua Mobile and Killer Blue sub 3 seconds in front of the chasing pack.
Perpetuum's just disappeared at the front of the field. This is perfect for him. Killer Blue's trying his best to stick with him at the moment, but he just doesn't quite have the same pace as him. Scooter Seb, like you said, recovering from that start, and Gary's already been dropped by Scooter Seb. Gary now falling into the clutches of Verstappen and Cortez, the main team and the academy team leaders at the moment. Matthias still runs in 7th place for OSRL. Nicholas Vett runs 8th. He's the last of those soft runners that started on the softs in the top 10. Joe goes 9th, but obviously his race will not count. Scuba now runs 10th on the medium, so look out for him. He's the lead person on that alternate strategy, so it's looking good at the moment for TTG. Behind them, Jules and Cam running side by side. Cam trying to work his way forwards after a lowly qualifying as well for the academy team, so he's trying to work his way past VR. Jules has a little bit of understeer there through the kink of 19, but he gets away with it. Perpetuum with another fastest lap, and now Scuba's going to get past Jacos, and Verstappen is the next person to get past Gary. Verstappen's working his way through after a bit of a mistake at the end of qualifying, only qualified 6th in the end, up to 4th. Gary now drops to 5th, and he'll be now under pressure from Cortez and Matthias, who just behind him on the road as well. Gary just doesn't seem to have the pace at this point in the race.
Yeah, Gary really needs to get switched on here. He's still in this fight, to be fair. He is still sticking with it, but needs to try and turn things around. Cortez and Matthias beginning to rein in him as well. Nicholas Vett is still with these guys. He runs just inside the DRS. There is a bit of a gap down. Scuba was able to get through on Jay Goes, who on the hard tires, predictably struggling away now as TTG Cam begins to line him up there. So not bad showing for TTG so far, but obviously Florian out of the race. The other 3 drivers going to have to fly the flag for both the main and the academy teams. So Florian out is really going to hurt them. Of course, at the cancel section can be so easy to do. And that's one thing, of course. The finishers, for the most part, will get points in this race, but if you don't finish, you don't get classified, you do not win points for your team. So if you're seeing maybe more than 5 drivers crashing out of this race, which at Baku is a real possibility, could really be seeing potentially your drivers losing points for the teams that they could have otherwise got. It's going to be really hanging in the balance, and at the moment it's so unpredictable because TTG are outperforming QVR, Excel are outperforming QVR. So at the moment, QBR main team with Skumbly right down the back of the field. Verstappen's going to have to fly the flag for them now, but the championship leaders in a bit of trouble here tonight.
Yeah, they are really struggling. So are Leonis at the moment. Obviously, Jaco's completely out of contention. Lyronix hasn't moved from where he started this race. Still 14th, and he's struggling to hold on to the back of Bayrami, who's on those soft compound tyres. Stuck in 14th. Lyronix just doesn't seem to have the confidence at the moment. Around Baku, he's really struggling to keep up with the drivers in front. Back to the front of the field, though. We're on to lap 4 of this race. Perpetuum Mobile still leads. Gap's nearly 2 seconds over Killer Blue. It's still nearly 3 seconds over Scooter Seb, who, because of how long that pit straight is and the DRS zones you have around here, Scooter Seb hasn't been able to break away from the QR cars behind. Meanwhile, someone's made a move further down the field. I think that might have been Cam. That was Cam going past Jay Go, so he's another one through. These hard compound tyres on the 2 Leonis cars just don't seem to have the pace at the moment. Lyronix can't keep up, and Jay Ghost is falling through the field from 8th, now down to 11th place. The medium tyre runners looking better at this point in the race, but you've got to say the real battle now at the moment is for 3rd, because Scooter Seb is holding Verstappen up. Gary, Cortez, Matthias and Nicholas Vett, you've got to say, are all within a shout of taking that 3rd place.
And Scuba not far behind on that owner strategy, will maybe start to come into his own in the next few laps as the soft tyres will begin to degrade. So he's not out of things either, and Cam's sticking with him as well. So watch out for both TTG main team and academy. Maybe try and pick up some points in the second half of this race when it does come around. But Scooter Seb is certainly the bottleneck at this moment. Got past Gary. Of course, he qualified so well. But at the moment, Verstappen, who definitely had more in his qualifying lap, his banker was his final lap in quali, is certainly making the most of it. Yeah, yellows further down the road. That's down the castle section. That is, who is that that's going up? That's Vapor King.
Vapor
down
King, yeah.
there. And Vapor, well, they're having a terrible time of it here tonight, that's for sure then. And looks like he's got away without any major damage, but that's certainly going to cost him big time in this race. Now, we're looking up to the battle for 3rd place though. Verstappen is right there using the opening with DRS, surely is going to carry him through. Now, DRS will be open. Scooter Seb's got more ERS on him, but can he hold him back? Surely not. Down the inside. QBR Verstappen is up in a 3rd place now. And can he convert it? There's still more DRS on offer. Heading down the straight towards top 3. Florian now out of the session after crashing out a little while ago. We have more battles down the field there. Jules moves past Jay Goes. But Remy comes into the pit lane. Those tires already going off. Jay Goes trying to fight back, and Jules doesn't quite come through. We are still running in this straight. Matthias trying to chase down Cortez, who's struggled a little bit to live with the top 5, but he is going to keep OSRL Matthias at bay for the time being. Bear Riley didn't go very far to the softs, and is that going to be a sign maybe the other soft runners may start to struggle? Nicholas Vest has dropped off the top 7, and now Scuba is getting to read him in as well. That gap was well over 2 seconds, now under 2 seconds, so the mediums now maybe starting to come into play. Is already 4.5 laps into the race. The soft tires appear to be degrading out there.
Yeah, and I was just actually looking at the gap between Scuba and Cam. Cam actually looks like the faster of the 2 drivers on these medium tyres. He was outside of DRS range of Scuba after he made that move on Jay Ghost. He's caught Scuba in that time, so he's looking very fast in that Blue Shot Academy car, looking faster than Cam, so maybe it might be smart for TTG to allow Cam to go through, because he might be the fastest person. As Jules is out of the session for VER, he's crashed in the castle section. Wow, okay, so this changes the dynamic of this race. Do people come in and put the hard compound tyres on, or do they wait out and extend? Do they extend and go onto the mediums? That is the question. You've got to say, for track position, they're going to have to come in and put the hard tyres on.
Let's see, it is going to be a tall order to get to the end, but I don't think it's impossible. So we'll see these guys maybe start to come in. Here comes Perpetual Mobile. This is going to be a key moment in this race, I believe. He is going pit lane bound. So the race leader now diving pit lane. OWR Christian's got another time penalty. He got one under the VSEs, he's got one under the safety car now as a drive-through penalty. That's going to really cost him. He can't serve it under safety car conditions. Everyone on the softs, bar none, now in that pit lane, and this can really change things. How is the order going to get shifted up there? We're going to see then a difference in strategy calls. Perpetual Mobile has been very bold here. Medium tyres are going to go on. I think virtually everyone else in that train is going to be on the softs. So that is going to be absolutely key. We have Scuba. Some of the medium runners have also come into the pit lane as well. Of all the soft runners, every single one, I believe, barring every single, actually Gary has come in for mediums as well, but he's lost out hugely in that pit stop phase. Now drops down to 8th place. Maybe he had a front wing change, I'm not sure, but he has lost out hugely from that. My oh my, what a chaotic pit stop phase. Can the medium tyres that are Perpetual Mobile and XL Gary have gone on, can they possibly make it to the end of the race?
That is going to be the key question. Perpetual will have the pace, and the pace he had on the softs already over the rest of the field was crazy, so he should have a massive pace advantage over the hard runners behind him, but that's going to be so difficult for him to get those to the end of the race. I would have expected him, maybe if you wanted to go onto the mediums, maybe pit at the end of lap 8 or 9 to come in for the medium tyres. That is still early, but obviously we've got a couple laps maybe behind the safety car, so that might help him, and who knows, we might get a safety car later on in this race as well. We'll have to wait and see. Another problem as well with running these cars, with running these multiplayer cars, is that you don't know who is technically classed as your teammate, so you don't know who's going to be in the pit lane at the same time as you, and it looks like Gary might have been the one that got caught out by that, coming into the pit lane in a net P5, now down to 8th on the medium tyres. He's behind OSR Matthias. Nicholas Vet has gained massively, and this is up to 6th place. Scooter is Seb's 4th and Cortez is 5th, so they stay where they were in that queue, but Nicholas Vet is the one that has gained. Gary's the one that has dropped. Scuba now runs 9th on the hard tyres. Cam pitted from the mediums onto another set of mediums, so he's definitely going for a 2-stop in this one. Runs 10th. He'll be fast at the safety car restart, but he's going to have to hope for another safety car to bring him back into contention.
One thing we've got to mention as well is that, you're seeing some of the drivers that have gone on mediums, they might have been a bit too over-ambitious. We've already seen a safety car within the first 5 laps of this race. It is not out of the question. You can see multiple more over the course of the race, not because of driving standards or anything, just because of the nature of this track. Just chipping off front wing, Derry flying out on the track, even just bending it at the castle section, as we've already seen a number of cars do here tonight, both qualifying and the race so far. The safety cars and VSEs can be deployed so often that maybe the guys on the mediums may not work best in a traditional fashion in this race. It could really work well for them if fortune just works their way. It could work the other way, of course, but there's so many variables here at a race at Baku that you cannot call anything. We have more penalties down there. Jay Ghost has received a penalty and is not able to serve that at the moment, still staying out there on the track. That 5-second stop and go, I don't believe can be served under safety car conditions. We have another one. That's for Vapor King for ignoring yellow flags. I think that may be because Ghost I wonder if that was because Ghost backed off. Spag hasn't been giving a penalty, so I'm not exactly sure what that's for. But ignoring yellow flags, he was already with the train. Now he's out the session again. His connection drops yet again. Vapor King is at a miserable time of it here tonight.
Yeah, he's really struggled, unfortunately, with connection and some issues as well. Jagos is missing almost the entirety of his front wing, so he's obviously crashed maybe into the back of King behind the safety car, and that's where that's come in. That is such a shame for Jagos. Obviously, would have been out of contention having started on the wrong tyre. He's now on the mediums, but will have to pit. With that amount of damage on the car, he won't be able to drive that around without putting in the wall at least once again before he comes in for another pit stop. This also just somewhat helped those QVR drivers that were at the back of the field after the first lap. Spag and Koen Bly are back in the queue of cars once again. They are obviously well out of position as to where they want to be, both on the hard compound tyres, but they now have a better opportunity of working themselves forward. So this could save QVR's championship lead if Koen Bly is able to work himself up the grid. But that is all going to be dependent on what his pace is like. And just based off of qualifying, Koen Bly does seem to be struggling a little bit around this track. Only qualified 13th, so it's going to be a real difficult race really for Koen Bly to work his way back towards the front of the field. It looks like we're going to get the safety car in at the end of this lap. Start of lap 8. 18 full speed laps around this track on a set of medium tyres. I don't think Perpetuum's going to do this, and I have to fully agree here with Mark and Conti in the comment section. Perpetuum onto the medium tyres. This seems like too much of a gamble considering the pace advantage he had.
Yeah, it's very, very odd. He's maybe just anticipating another safety car, but that is such a risk to take. Safety car is going to be coming in at the end of this lap, so that's going to be so fascinating. Perpetuum leads the way, Killer Blue in behind. Perpetuum will have more grip on this restart, but how's that strategy call going to work against him? He still leads the way out there on track. How is your race leader, pole position center, Perpetuum Mobile, going to play this restart here?
Here we go then. We'll probably wait for as long as he can. He doesn't want to give the drivers behind him as much of a run down this straight. He doesn't want to give the drivers as much of a tow in case they get a run or a lunge at turn 1. You have to wait and see how this one plays out. Perpetuum hasn't gone as of yet. They've gone through the kink of 20. Now it's just the run to the start finish line. Perpetuum is still waiting. He's run at a relatively high speed, trying to spread the field out a little bit before we get going again. Just look out maybe at the back for a little bit of contact, and we are underway once again, it seems. And it looks like Vapor King hasn't got off to the best of starts at this safety car restart, but Perpetuum Mobile will continue to lead them down towards turn where they are fanning out in the background. 2 and 3 wide as Perpetuum leads into the first corner. Cortez, great restart from him. He's down the inside of Scooter Recep. There's a little bit of contact between the two of them though. Scooter Recep trying to come back round the outside, and Nicholas Vet trying to stick his nose down the inside, but that's him run a little. He has a poor run coming out the corner, and now OSRL Matthias is trying to capitalise, but Nicholas Vet is on his overtake, and he's able to hold 6th place for the time being. Koen Bly picks up a time penalty for ignoring yellow flags, and Scooter Recep sends it down the inside of Cortez.
Look at Nicholas.
He's trying to go around the outside of the pair of them. He's got Cortez. Can he get Scooter Recep? He's late on the brakes. Seb is nearly into the wall. They're 3 wide coming down towards turn 5, and Nicholas Vet from running in 8th at the start of this one, round the outside of Seb at 5, inside of 6. He's done it. He's got the move, but Seb's going to have the run now down towards turn 7. They're now 3 seconds behind Verstappen. The top 3 have gone in this race, but Nicholas Vet, great driving from him, read that beautifully, while Cortez and Seb were scrapping over their positions. Nicholas Vet said thank you very much, and he passed the pair of them.
Yeah, Nicholas taking full advantage of that great opportunistic driving, car positioning to move him up into that 4th place. Ganaria Seb's aggressive defence over that 5th place, and Cortez's relentless pressure and refusal to give it in has cost them both. And now Nicholas Vet runs a superb 4th place. Can he keep it? And can he possibly get up to the top 3 who have broken away considerably in this race already? Looking up at the front, Killer Blue hasn't been able to live with Perpetuum Mobile. Perpetuum Mobile, if he's committed to a 2-stop strategy, has got to go now. And he's done everything he needed to do on that restart. Now 2 seconds clear. Verstappen has a brilliant run on Killer Blue here though. Going for 2nd place to the inside line. Killer Blue's not playing this, I don't think. QBR Verstappen moves down the inside, and he now runs 2nd. Further down the road, Matthias now attacking Cortez. Right outside, hitting in a turn 1 then. Has his nose in front. Cortez later on the brakes to the inside, but Matthias sweeps around the outside and looks to try and claim P6. But Cortez had to get out of that one. Brilliant from Matthias. He now runs in the 2nd place. Vapor King is set a 53-second fastest lap. Very unusual there. But he's, of course, that's not going to be a real lap there. Gary's now attacking again. Cortez under real pressure. XL Gary on medium tyres. Now trying to go around the outside of turn 3. Is Cortez going to give him the space? Yes, he does. And Gary goes clean around the outside. And now runs 7th. QBR Cortez had a disaster on this restart. Such a good initial getaway. Was challenging for 4th. Now he runs 7th and 8th there. And Skinner, Seb and Cortez are really costing themselves both out here. Matthias and Gary going through. Disaster for QBR Academy and Cortez. 3 places down in that restart. Nicholas Vet now leads the way, but it's Voldeg up behind him now as Skinner, Seb trying to turn the tables and put pressure back on BR Nicholas Vet for 4th.
Yeah, they're now running 5th and 6th, the OSRL team, so Matthias working his way forwards, but Seb has dropped back from that second place start. He's really struggled so far in this race to hold the same pace as the people at the front. He's really struggling. Meanwhile, people working their way forwards. Lyronix is now running 9th for the Leonis team. He's on those medium tyres as well, the same as Gary, so look for him to try and make his way through these hard runners as quickly as possible. He locks up in the background. Meanwhile, Cam on the previous lap locked up and put his car in the wall on the outside of 15, so he's had to come in and replace his front wing, so that two-stop strategy for him has gone completely out the window. Scuba rounds off the top 10 at the moment on those hard compound tyres. Spag's up to 11th. Bearemi runs 12th ahead of Kuhnblai with a time penalty, runs 13th at the moment, so they're starting to steadily work their way forwards. DRS is re-enabled. Killer Blue trying to get a run back on Verstappen down towards turn 1, but isn't quite close enough. Perpetual Mobile out front on the medium tyres, as you would expect, is disappearing off into the distance, nearly 3 seconds clear already. But at some point in this race, if he wants to make a one-stop work, he's got to think about saving these tyres, and while he's pushing at this point in this race, it's not going to help him at all. And if he does pit for a second time, he will come out well down the field with millions and millions of cars to work his way through.
Yeah, it's going to seem that way at least. We're going to see how Perpetual Mobile was able to try and pull that off. And Gary as well has got cars in front of him on slower tyres. He needs to get a move on, but they're all running in a DRS train. Overtaking is going to be so difficult. Same goes for Lyronix, who's trying to pressure Cortez. Hasn't made a move just yet. Cortez is still in DRS range of XL Gary up the road. So that's train. Really seeing these efforts and strategies working, maybe against the medium runners. Perpetuum's rate of the extension of his lead over Verstappen is already beginning to fall away, and Verstappen is holding him a little bit more. Perpetuum still pulling away, mind you, but not by the same rate that he was in a restart. How much longer can he keep that momentum going for when he inevitably has to come into the pit lane? Is he going to try and stretch that one out? Or is he going to try and, maybe just burn off as much tyre wear as he can, burn the fuel, maybe just try as much lap time as he can to make a two-stop work, but there's going to be so many cars to work his way through, because this train behind Nicholas Vet is still completely intact. A DRS train forming. Scooter Ray Seb is going to try and get him up to the head of this DRS train though. He's got 60% ERS, plenty more than Nicholas Vet has available, and he is less than half a second gap back. This field is so close, and that means that positions can change hands. Now it's going to race up to the outside easily. He's going to get through, and he now runs in that 4th place. Finally makes ground there. Now back in the field, Lyronix attacking Cortez to the outside of turn 1 there. Cortez defends the inside line though. The switchback may come through for Lyronix though. He draws his front nose alongside. Now down the inside, and he turn 2. Cortez pitches him onto the inside line, and they are still battling for the position on the exit. But the opening mode comes in for Lyronix. Tries to pull ahead, and he might just get this one done. He's got the DRS, he has the momentum, and he has the place. At last, Lyronix takes that 8th place from Cortez, who loses another place in a horrific restart. Now down into 9th. Scuba's got the pressure as well. TTG Spags right there as well in 11th. So the QVR Academy guys beginning to bunch up on the track at the moment. In the last lap, Perpetuum's advantage was only about a 10th of a second over QVR Verstappen. He is struggling a little bit more. Verstappen's doing a superb job of making the pace. Killer Blue's just hanging on to him, but struggling a little bit more. That DRS battle is really the balance. 9.5 tenths is the gap. So Perpetuum is quick to that castle section, particularly pulls out a few tenths over Verstappen every lap, but through the rest of the lap, not much in it. And at the moment Verstappen's holding him. Perpetuum Mobile really needs to get a move on here if he wants to try and make a two-stop strategy work.
Yeah, is this all about him saving the tyres, or are those medium tyres already starting to go off? That's the key question. What is he doing? He's saved a lot of ERS compared to the 2 drivers behind him. Killer Blue has actually saved a lot, currently running behind Verstappen, but in the process is going to lose DRS range to Verstappen, so that's only going to allow Verstappen to pull even further away. Killer Blue not within DRS range, so he's going to struggle to live with Verstappen in this one. Now can any of the drivers behind close in, but they're already 5 seconds behind Killer Blue, who currently runs in 3rd place. Scooter Recepts nearly gapped Nicholas Vet, who's now under pressure from Matthias, the other OSRL driver. My word, that was so close to the pit wall. Nicholas Vet moved right to the left-hand side. Matthias tried to find a gap, but it wasn't quite there, so he goes to the outside line at turn 1. It'll turn to the outside for turn 2 as well. Can he get that car all the way around the outside? There's a little bit of wheel banging, and coming off the corner, it looks like Matthias has got the better of the 2 runs. Nicholas Vet is on his ERS. Gary down the inside of the pair of them has got more ERS coming out the corner, had a better run on the fresher mediums. Is down the inside of the pair of them, squeezes Matthias towards the wall. Matthias outbrakes himself, just keeps it out of the wall on the outside, but Gary gets the pair of them now. Nicholas runs 6th. Lyronix is trying to go around the outside of Matthias as well. Matthias, too ambitious.
Contact!
Moves across on Cortez, and he's broken his front wing on the wall. So from a great opportunity at a top 5, Matthias too late on the brakes at 3. Ben moves across Cortez coming out of 4. Front wing damage for Matthias, and his chances of a top 5 finish are gone in this race.
Oh, that is so gutting for Matthias then. Again, he's putting up such a fight for these possessions, but maybe just had to get out of that one. In the end, it looked like he was beating there. Gary, what a superb opportunistic move to the inside. And he claims that 5th place, has a bit more space to work with. But how long are those medium tires going to hold up? This train has now been massively upset. Matthias is going to be under pressure. Scuba, Spag, Beremi, Kublai, they're all right there, putting the pressure on. Down there in that battle, over the 8th position, in fact, Beremi's on the attack, he's saved by side with Spag, and it's turn 16. Spag squeezes him out onto the curb, and just hangs on to it. Beremi on the mediums, trying to make ground, and trying to get these moves done, hasn't quite got them just yet, up the field. Lyronics, now on Nicholas Vett, who's down in the second, he lost his spot at the front of the train, now he's on the defensive again, as Lyronics for Leonis, lanes up the inside line, heading into turn 1, can he get it done on the brakes then? Onto the brakes, they go, and Lyronics confident, he gets it stopped hard then, and now runs in that 6th place in front of ER Nicholas Vett, who could not hold it back on this occasion. He has a bit more ERS to work with, but Lyronics gets a superb run coming off of turn 2, and he will secure that 6th position in front of ER Nicholas Vett. What a current chaotic race. We are seeing battles galore. Nicholas Vett can't quite get up to Lyronics, and Spag was just about able to fend off Beremi. Couldn't blast it with it at the moment, trying to recover after a disaster on the first lap. Up at the front, Perpetuum still pulling away. Verstappen trying to live with him, reaching the halfway point of this race at the end of this lap. It is getting very, very intriguing. Battle still raging out on the track, and well, Verstappen is able to somewhat keep up with Perpetuum Mobile. It's Killer Blue that's nearly struggling. He just dropped out of DRS race 2 laps ago. Now runs 2 full seconds behind Verstappen and Claim, and Killer Blue really struggling to live with the pace in the front 2.
Yeah, he just hasn't got the pace at the moment, but neither is Scooter Red Seb. Scooter Red Seb not able to capitalise on Killer Blue being out of DRS range. He's even slower at this point in the race, so he's not working his way forwards in this one. Currently stagnant in 4th, and he's now coming under increasing pressure from Gary on those medium tyres behind, as well as Lyronics, who's also climbed up to 6th place as well on those mediums. Nicholas Vett, can he now hold on against Cortez, who'll be the next person trying to work his way through? Cortez trying to work his way through after a terrible safety car restart. Now runs 8th, was 5th at the safety car restart. Can he work his way up to 7th in this race? Nicholas Vett will have DRS on Lyronics in front, so that should save him somewhat down towards turn 1. A little bit further down the field as well. Beremi didn't have the best of runs out of 16. Kublai might be close enough to challenge, but he's not using his ERS as of yet. He's waiting for the right moment to get the move done on Beremi for 11th place. Remember, Beremi is also on those medium compound tyres, so look out for him towards the end of this one to struggle as the race goes on. Meanwhile, race leader Perpetuum Mobile over 5 seconds clear now, so he is starting to continue to pull away from Verstappen. Has got a lot more ERS. Verstappen has barely any ERS left in this one, so if he does catch Perpetuum by the end of this one and Perpetuum doesn't pit, he's not got a lot of stuff to attack with, so he's got to try and save some ERS up for the end of this one. But you've got to say that the pace that Perpetuum is running at in this race, he's got to come in for another stop, surely.
Yeah, he's certainly still pushing. You must have to put that out. Now, I believe the pit stop loss time isn't as big at this track as it is at most others, so he does have that going for him, does Perpetuum, but he is still going to be coming out probably outside the top 10, I imagine, or be around the sort of Kublai area, I suspect. So yeah, Perpetuum, if he isn't able to further, he could maybe be coming out in the middle train if his pace keeps going. We'll see how long he's going to stretch this out. Maybe he can go for a soft stint at the end and try and really just maximise his pace right at the conclusion of the Grand Prix. But yeah, at the moment he's still pushing, still has a lot of ERS to play with, so he can really extend that gap if need be as Verstappen starts chasing him down. So we'll see at the moment. QVR Verstappen, who won last time out, looks in a great position yet again to maybe have lightning strike twice and take home the race. Went a long way to go here at Baku, but QVR Verstappen, just like in the Netherlands, is in a great position here as we are now into the second half of this race.
Yeah, his history repeating itself. Perpetuum was in the lead of the race last time out in Zandvoort and then lost it to Verstappen at the end, like you say. So is the same thing going to happen again? Killer Blue continues to lose pace. He's now nearly 3 seconds back. He just doesn't have the pace of Verstappen in this this one. Had a great qualifying and a great start to this race, but just can't keep up. And now Scuderia Seb is starting to close in. The pace is starting to come for the OSRL driver. He's got the gap down to 4.5 seconds. He took nearly a second out of Killer Blue on that previous lap. He's running at the same pace of Verstappen at this point in the race, and he is dragging Gary and Lyronics with him. So it's not out of the question that Killer Blue could still lose this podium. He's being closed in on by 3 different drivers, one of them on the same strategy and 2 of them on completely different ones as well. And still, you cannot count the likes of Nicholas Vett, Cortez or Scuba out of this one. They are not far off the back of that queue either, so if they can get within DRS range of Lyronics, they can start to work their way forwards as well. Killer Blue's 3rd place at the moment on the track, really now coming under threat.
Let's see if he can try and turn things around, but Scuderia Seb's chasing him down. That gap now at 4.1. He's really fell away after he lost that DRS to QVR Verstappen, who he's got from strength to strength. Killer Blue has begun to struggle and now has just a 4-second buffer just outside the penalty range. We haven't seen many penalties in this race. I don't think we've seen any at all for corner cutting. We have seen a few for just the general driving infringements, but the drivers have kept it nice and clean as it comes to the track limits so far in this race. We still have a long way to go, obviously. As we come over the line, there will be 15 laps ahead of the end of this race. Perpetuum is getting towards the point where we're maybe starting to think about pitting, unless he's still trying to make those tyres work to the end of the race. When you get into sort of the last 5 laps of the race, we'll probably know if he's going to opt for a 1-stop or a 2-stop. We'll see how that one goes, but yeah, our questions will be answered down the field. And Cortez is back on the attack now. He is now side by side with Nicholas Vett, and going through. Nicholas Vett cannot hold him back, and now Scuba arriving on the scene, chasing down rapidly, but cannot quite get it done on the brakes. So now Cortez, finally some good fortune, now runs in 7th place, but Nicholas Vett is right on him as heading into turn 2 then, on the 16th lap of this Azerbaijan race. Let's see how this one's going to unfold. 3 drivers, you can throw it back over, but Cortez is using the last of his ERS to try and stay ahead, but is it going to be enough? Nicholas Vett to the outside, but surely cannot go the long way round. Cortez covers it off, and this time will maintain P7 in front of VR Nicholas Vett, who has to drop in behind Scuba, putting on the pressure. Spag and Kublai and Beremi not far behind as well. That's train, that's group of more than half the field, I'd say, is still so incredibly close. Gaps are so incredibly small, and gaps as well coming down is up at the front. Scuderia Seb is taking another few tenths out of Killer Blue. Killer Blue maybe throwing a bit better now, but he's got to keep that pressure on. He cannot let off that gas, and it's such a high pressure scenario. You cannot push too hard here at Baku, or you could be finding your end plates maybe flying off. One thing Killer Blue has done well is he has looked after his ERS. He has nearly 80% to play with. Verstappen, on the other hand, in front of him is much worse in that regards, but he has pulled out that gap. So Killer Blue can try and turn things around then. Scuderia Seb trying to go with him, but still, the medium runners are Gary and Lyronics singing with him. Look at all, it's like a chess match, this game. All the pieces beginning to move as we evolve through this race. Perpetual Mobile's lead over Verstappen, 6.1 seconds. We'll see if it's going to change around. Is he going to go for a 1-stop? Is he going to go for a 2-stop? Perpetual Mobile, the pole setter, the long-term race leader, still has doubt over it. We'll see if he's going to come in the next few laps, or if he's going to try and take those mediums all the way to the end of the race.
And now we have a real dynamic in this race. It seems like this is the point in the race where the medium tyres are starting to go off. Perpetuum only 0.3 of a second faster than Verstappen on that previous lap, and Gary just about held on to DRS range of Scuderia Seb in front, but dropped out of DRS range at the top of the castle section, so maybe he's starting to struggle on his medium tyres. Scuderia Seb continuing to close in on Killer Blue. So is this the point in the race where the dynamic starts to shift and we start to see those hard tyres come into their own? Can Gary hold on to the back of Seb? You have to say, out of the 2 medium runners here, 5th and 6th, Lyronics looks the faster of the 2 of them. He closed in on the back of this queue of cars and is still sticking right with the back of Gary, despite being the second car in the train. So I think if Lyronics got ahead of Gary, Lyronics probably has a better shot in this race than Gary does of getting a top 5 just in terms of pace. But Gary holding firm at the moment, but look at that, already 9/10 of a second coming down towards turn 7, really struggling in the open part of the lap to keep with Scuderia Seb, who continues to close in. Meanwhile, front of the field, Verstappen's not had a particularly good lap this time around. Perpetuum Mobile already half a second up on this lap on Verstappen, so he's still got some decent pace in those medium tyres. Can he take them to the end though? I'll be amazed if he can take them to the end, but if he can, that hat's off to him. But he's really put himself under threat at the end of this one in case his tyres do go off. A little bit further down the field as well, there's still a queue forming behind Cortez. Nicholas Vett has been able to just about cling on to the back of him, but as I say, that is nearly dropping outside of DRS range. Scuba runs 9th. Spag and Kublai currently 10th and 11th. They've worked their way through a few drivers, but since they've got up to 10th, since Spag has got up to 10th place, he's not been able to work his way any further forward. Yes, all the drivers in front of him are on the same tyres, but you would expect maybe Spag and Kublai to work their way a bit further up the grid. So still, those 2 drivers still struggling in this race.
And Kublai coming up to the back of Spag as well. We'll see what the strategy call is going to be between those two. Of course, racing for different QVR teams, but they are de facto teammates. And now, Kublai to the end side. Spag's not going to paint that one. Kublai now runs into that 10th place in front of Spaghetti Chips, who lets that one go, I think. And now, no, he's looking towards the inside of turn 2, but it's going to hang back from that one. In the end, then. Looks like the gaps at the front of the field have stabilised. Killer Blue's recovered, I'd say, in the last few laps. Is running very similar pace now to both Verstappen and Scooter 87 down there. So he's done a much better job for Team XL, who still run 3rd and 5th in this race. They've had a great day so far. But with Gary on that medium strategy, is he going to survive? It's a really ebbing and flowing battle here between Scooter 87, Gary and Lyronics. It looked a lap ago as if Gary was the one struggling to hang on. Now here on lap 18, it's Lyronics who is flirting with that DRS window. So maybe the medium tire is starting to go off for these guys, but still Perpetual Mobile extending his lead. 7.4 seconds. His pace is remarkable, but will his tire saving strategies, his tire saving skills be the same? 7.4 seconds the gap, but he still has an eminent chance of a puncture in the last few laps. Perpetual Mobile, still the question is up in the air. What's the strategy call going to be? Is he going to go for another stint on the softs, or is he going to try and survive on those mediums? 8 laps to go over the line, and still the race victory hangs in the balance here.
8 laps to go. That is a massive order for Perpetual Mobile. He's halfway through the stint already. His tyres are 12 laps old. 20 laps on a set of medium tyres. That is a massive ask for Perpetual Mobile. If he can pull it off, then hats off to him. But you've got to expect him coming into the pit lane, getting ready just in case he can't get to the end. And when he does come into the pits, you've got to say he'll be back down with Bayremi in 12th place. So he'll have a lot of places to have to work his way through towards the front of the field. Meanwhile, further down the field as well, Nicholas Vet coming back onto the back of Cortez here. So Cortez, having passed Nicholas Vet a couple laps ago, hasn't been able to pull away. He's dropped time to Lyronics in front, and Nicholas Vet is hanging with them, and they are both pulling away from Scuba. Scuba just doesn't have the pace at this point in the race to keep with these two drivers in front. Nicholas Vet, and all of a sudden, having struggled at that point in the race, now seems the faster of the two drivers and is trying to work his way back past Cortez, who after that safety car restart just hasn't really been able to recover. Bayremi, who was going for the same strategy as Gary Lyronics and Perpetual Mobile, couldn't go any further. He's into the pit lane once again for another set of medium tyres, comes out in 13th place. We'll have to see what his pace is. How quickly can he close in on Cam? Can he close in by over a second a lap? If he can, then maybe the two-stop strategy can still work for some of these drivers in this race. But that is very telling that Bayremi on the same strategy could only go to the end of lap 18 on those set of medium tyres, and that is fairly ominous for the other 3 medium runners.
Let's see if they're going to be a bit braver, though, in the closing stages of this race. Perpetual Mobile, when he comes over the line, will have 7 laps. You suspect if he's going to pit, it will be in the next few laps. So the question will be answered as to what strategy he's going to run in the next few minutes or so. Perpetual Mobile coming through onto the main straight, and he'll start the 20th lap of this race at Baku. He's driven superbly so far. Can he see it through? We now have 7 laps to go here in Azerbaijan. It has been an absolute marathon for us in the commentary box, and I'm sure for the drivers as well, even more so. So they're going to be probably suffering with fatigue at this point. They've been at it for so long, but we'll see if they can try and hold it together. We've seen remarkably few crashes, it must be said, in this race. Still, 18 drivers out there on track. They've done remarkably well of staying in it, keeping focused and cutting out those mistakes. So we're going to see if they can hold up, though, in the closing stages. If we're going to get a safety car, it will be the next few laps. The safety car in the last 3 laps of the race is not possible. So we'll see how that's going to unfold. Doesn't look like we're going to be seeing much overtaking. The field is still fanning out. We have a few little DRS pockets. As I was sort of predicting ahead of this race, we're seeing some small DRS straights forming, particularly in that midfield. Still so close. Still so competitive. Still up in the air. We're into the final stages of this race at Baku. But whoever scores top 10, whoever scores the points here at Azerbaijan is still so much in doubt. And the permutations for the championship are still so cloudy. And, particularly, I have Verstappen in P2, Kudin in P10. The QVR main team having maybe their worst performance of the season so far. That could really open up the door for maybe some other contenders to shine through here today.
Yeah, it really could. Meanwhile, TTG running 1st and 9th. They're not exactly doing much better at this point in the race. You would have expected them to maybe have 2 cars at the front of the field. It's really, at the moment, XL looking like the ones that are going to benefit the most. They're currently running 3rd and 5th, but Gary is on that alternate strategy. So it's still up in the air as to whether he can get to the end of the race on these tyres. Perpetual Mobile coming up to the line to start another lap of racing. He's moving to the left-hand side of the track. Is he coming in? He is. He is coming in, so he couldn't get to the end of the race. He's recognised that now. He is coming in. You would expect for a set of soft compound tyres. Now, where does he come out in this queue of cars? Killer Blue, meanwhile, has lost a massive amount of time on this lap. He's 5.5 seconds behind Verstappen, and he's lost nearly 2.5 seconds to Scooter Reset behind. So Killer Blue has made a mistake somewhere. Perpetual Mobile then coming out of his box through turn 1. He is much higher up than I first expected he would be. He's come out right in the thick of this battle for third place on the track, directly behind Gary. He's got to get this moved on Gary ASAP if he wants any chance of still winning this race. He's down the inside of Gary, coming down towards turn 3, and he's got the move done already, so he's back up into 4th place. Can he get past Scooter Recep quick enough and get into 3rd place? Killer Blue is not much further up the road. Verstappen is the worry in this one. Can he close in on Verstappen? 6 laps left to go in this race. Massive order for Perpetuum to pull this off. He's got to get through the traffic quickly.
But look at the extra grip that he has relative to Scuderia Seb. Scuderia Seb has almost nothing to fight with, and the only thing keeping in front is the second sector. He's going to go for it turn 7, lighting on the inside line. No, surely not. He had to get out of that one, but he is pushing Scuderia Seb around the track, but he's also losing time. His gap to QVR Verstappen up in the lead of this race is nearly 9 seconds. I think that may well be too tall in order, unless he can really pull things together. He gets out an incredible run off of turn 12, and he's going to go straight through into P3. He has Killer Blue in less than 2 seconds in front. He'll at least get second, I think. But can he close out on QVR Verstappen's race lead yet again? Just like in the Netherlands, it's Perpetuum hunting down Verstappen on fresher tyres at the end of the race. We know how that ended last time with a Verstappen victory. Is the same fortune going to come his way here tonight? Perpetuum is absolutely flying. He's gained more than a second on Verstappen on this lap, and he's had to go through traffic. He is flying. Will the tyres hold up for as long as they need to? Can he pull it back? Surely Killer Blue can't hold him back for long. Perpetuum is on a charge, but only 5 laps to go. Verstappen out of track position. He has time on his hands. He has time on his side. Less than 5 laps to go in this race. Where Perpetuum now hunting down Killer. The braking distance. Look at the comparison.
Well, I think we just lost you there for a second there, Daku. You've just gone muted, unfortunately. Yeah, Perpetuum closing in massively on the back of Killer Blue then for second place. Killer Blue, meanwhile, has picked up front wing damage somewhere, so that confident 3rd place he looked to have in the palm of his hands has gone. He's got damage, and he's falling back into the clutches to Scooter Recep behind. He's got the inside line. It's Perpetuum coming off for the outside for turn 5. Can he pull this off all the way around the outside? That's so close, and he gets away with it. What a move! Perpetuum is flying in this race. We could be on for one of those dramatic last lap finishes. This is incredible stuff. 7.7 seconds is the gap. How quickly can Perpetuum close that down? Verstappen, 15 lap-old hard tyres with barely any ERS left in that car. How quickly can Perpetuum close in? Killer Blue already dropped within DRS range. Scooter Recep behind, so that's going to be a massive battle for 3rd place. Scooter Recep, Gary and Lyronics all still in the middle of that, and they are all being caught by Cortez and Nicholas Vett in this race, and Scooter Recep, so it's all going to massively close up for 3rd. We have to keep an eye on this gap though between Perpetuum and Verstappen, down to 6.7. Make that 6.6. Wow. Make that 6.5. He's flying.
There seems as though Verstappen cannot hold back this charge. Can he find something extra in these last few laps? Those hard tyres will start screaming for him as well. Perpetual Mobile only has 2 laps on those softs. They'll still be as fresh as they come. But can he chase down that gap there? He's running out of time. Can he pull it back? Still, looks like further back. XL Gary, LL Ironics, they are braining it out to the end. Can their tyres survive? Can they hold up? Killer Blue has been caught by the lot of it now. Scooter Recep looking at a podium here. Gap in the front, 6.3, 6.2. That is absolutely coming down, but is there enough time for Perpetual Mobile to pull this one back? Damon's out the session, he's disconnected. That won't have an effect on the battle up at the front. But Damon now, that's going to be leaking points for Team Vapor. Still, though, that's battle over 3rd place are getting to come together. The battle over the lead is now come down about 2 seconds in the last lap. Perpetuum can pull this one back, but is there going to be enough time? Are the tyres going to continue to hold up? 5.3, 5.2, surely as they hit the braking zone. Has so much more grit than Verstappen has. Verstappen is again in a perilous position of trying to hold on to his race win. Right at the line, right at the death, but is it going to be enough? 5 seconds down the gap. Perpetuum coming out at 4.8. The gap coming down all the time. Does Verstappen have anything left? Just over 3 laps to go here at Baku.
Surely he cannot hold this back. Perpetuum is so fast. He's sliding out of turn 15. He is pushing the limits of this track. How he has nearly halved the gap between himself and Verstappen is incredible. That was 3 seconds nearly in a lap he gained. So fast is Perpetuum, 4.5 seconds. Look at the gap he's pulled on Killer in a lap and a half. 6.5 seconds. Obviously amplified by the fact that Killer Blue has damage, but even so, 6.5 seconds is a massive amount of time. And look at this queue behind Killer all the way down to Scuba, currently running in 9th, and Kuhn Bly's not out of this in 10th. He does still have a penalty lingering over him at the moment. Gary's looking close to the back of Seb, but Seb has got a brilliant run on Killer towards turn 1, moves to the outside. Can it go all the way around the outside of turn 1? Killer Blue barges his way through down the inside. A little bit of contact. Scooter Recep cannot get the move done. Killer clearly trying to hold Scooter Recep up so that Gary can capitalise on Killer's error. Scooter Recep's going to have another run down towards turn 3, but I don't think he's going to be close enough. No, he won't. Killer Blue's going to hold on. Scooter Recep had to think about defending against Gary behind, but he can't use those medium tyres to work down the inside. Lyronix just behind these guys as well has been caught so quickly by Cortez and Nicholas Fett, who looked so out of it a few laps ago. They dropped so much time to these guys. They're right back in the thick of it. Meanwhile, battle for the lead down to 3.5 seconds with 2.5 laps to go. It's not out of the question. Perpetuum can still win this. He's still got a bank of VRS that he can use. Look at the commitment through the castle section. 2.9. He took 6 tenths out of Verstappen in the castle section. He's flying along. Verstappen must be absolutely bricking it at this point. Perpetuum is flying. How on earth is he this fast? Killer Blue now 10 seconds back, and Lyronix has spun. Lyronix has spun coming out of the castle section and picked up damage. It's all fallen apart for LR today. It's gone down the bin. Jay Ghost will be disqualified for a wrong strategy call, and Lyronix has spun out of contention. What a disaster for Leonis Racing. That puts Gary 5th, Cortez back into 6th place. Scuba's past Nicholas and all that, so it's working out beautifully for Team TTG. Scuba's up 2 places in 1 lap. Perpetuum's closing in on the race lead. It's now 2.7. Surely Perpetuum's got this one if he can just close in time for the next lap.
This could come down to the absolute line here. Could come down to the last lap. Fully back down the field. Cortez almost coming together with Scooter, who moves up into that side place. Scooter race it finally for the podium. Gets through on Killer Blue. Gary still with him, but those tires are going to be screaming as well. So Gary trying to get off them. Killer Blue coming back down inside last minute on Scooter race him. Trying to get a move done, and he could set up a move from Gary. Killer Blue somehow has got his nose in front, coming out of turn 2. But Scooter race him has to back out of this one. Moves across the inside to cover off Gary, who himself lays on the outside lane at turn 3. Better Marty, better wheel banging, and Gary nearly goes around. Scuba's looking on the inside. What a fight back this speed from Scuba, and he still has to back out of that one. Off in the front, the gap's under 2 seconds, but is there enough time? I think this may be decisive. Verstappen may have just found something here. Perpetuum's tires gonna hold out to the flag. He's struggling a little bit more to really close it down now. That gap is held pretty nicely for Verstappen. 1.6 seconds of the gap, and it's still coming down. I think that it could well be decided by the run to the line. Verstappen has 1.5 seconds in hand, but Perpetuum cut down a near 10-second advantage that the QVR driver had. Verstappen may just hang on to this one, but the gap's just over a second. 1 lap to go here at Baku.
This is going to be one of those photo finishes. Surely Perpetuum's going to be close enough to DRS on the final lap and has the ERS advantage. So Perpetuum's in the pound seat here. Surely 1.3 seconds when they cross the line. He only needs to gain 3 tenths to get within DRS range. Can he get within DRS range coming out of turn 1 maybe for the run down towards turn 3 in that DRS zone? Meanwhile, further back, battle for third still raging on. Scuba has to pass Killer Blue here, because surely otherwise Gary and Scuba are going to be all over the back of him. Scooter is on the back of Killer Blue. Once again, he's much closer though down the DRS straight. Surely he's going to get the move done this time round. Killer Blue using his excess ERS to try and fight back, but he cannot do so. Scooter Recep's up into 3rd place. Killer Blue feigns to the inside line for turn 1, but isn't close enough to make the move stick. Killer Blue drops to 4th. Gary will be next in line. Scuba, like you said, what a recovery from Scuba in this race, running 6th. TTG could gain massively in this race. Scuba nearly in the wall coming out of turn 2. He's so much faster than Gary, who's still struggling on these medium tyres. We're on the final lap of the race, but we've got to check in on the lead. Killer Blue though's coming back, and Scooter Seb down the inside. That's Very, very tight scooter is Seb. Just about keeps it out of the wall, holds on to it. I'm going to have to cut away from this though because Perpetuum's on the back of Verstappen. It's 3/10 of a second on the final lap through the castle section. Perpetuum has been so confident through this section all the way through the race. He's sticking right to the back of Verstappen. He's nearly grazing the wall at every corner. Perpetuum is getting every last bit of life out of these soft compound tyres. Surely though, Verstappen cannot hold on to this. I'm losing my voice. What an end to this race. It's only 3/10 of a second, and look at how much curb Perpetuum can take. Verstappen has to move to the inside line. He's backing out. He's backing out. He's waiting.
He's going for the DRS. He's going for the DRS.
He is, but Perpetuum
can
Perpetuum get the run out the corner though. He has the ERS advantage. He's using it now. Verstappen doesn't have a lot in backup compared to Perpetuum. Has Perpetuum been able to time this? Is all about the run to the line. Verstappen will have DRS. It's 4/10 of a second when they cross it. It's coming down. It's coming down. Has Perpetuum done enough? He's weaving all over the road to hold it, but I think he's done enough on a two-stop strategy. How on earth has he done that? Perpetuum with the race victory. Verstappen misses out by 2/10 of a second. Killer Blue with damage, 18 seconds back, held on to third. What a brilliant battle that is. Look at this queue, and look in the background. Cortez is going for a move on Scuba at the line. Is he close enough? He doesn't have the ERS to do it. He'll cross the line as Spag passes Kuhn on the line for 9th place, but Kuhn had the penalty anyway, so he drops to 10th place. Bayremi will cross the line in 11th, and Cam behind him in 12th. Lironix will recover to 13th after that spin ahead of his teammate Jay Ghost. Christian, Matthias, Damon and Vapor King will be the last people to finish this race. My word, my throat is gone. I for sure thought that Perpetuum had thrown away that race victory with that strategy. In the end, he cut it fine as you can almost get, and he pulled off a two-stop strategy. What for a race victory. We were delayed at the start of this race by nearly half an hour, but actually we were treated in the end to an incredible race. For me, hands down, race of the season so far. What a race that was.
Without a doubt. I have no clue. Perpetuum was 10 seconds back when he came into the pit stop after he decided that those mediums were not going to make the checkered flag. He caught Verstappen on the last lap. Verstappen, heartbreak. He did everything he could. He tried to give himself the DRS to the line, but he just ran out of time, ran out of road. Oh my word, what an incredible climax to this race. What a thriller. And I'm usually the one that's losing my voice on these occasions. This time I think you're in a slightly worse state for wear. But yeah, that was simply remarkable. Perpetuum from nowhere, but 2-second lap advantage to the end. Has it enough? Verstappen denied. A quarter of a second is the margin over the line. Killer Blue remarkably, inconceivably has hit on the 3rd place in front of Scuderia Seb. Gary hangs on the 5th place. He did amazingly to keep those tires on the island. Scuba, great recovery up to 2nd in the last few laps. Cortez comes 7th for the QVR Academy. Nicholas Vett comes through in front of Spag, 9th. Ted goes to Kublai. Bayremi rounds out the drivers outside the top 10 in front of Lironix. Disappointing race for Lironix, gutting Ed's race in the last few laps. Cam comes to 13th. Quiet race. Ghosts after that controversy with the strategies ends up 14th. Christian comes through 15th, and behind Matthias, Damon and Vapor King round out the finishers. Behind that, Jules and Florian unfortunately did not see out the checkered flag. That was phenomenal. And Perpetuum has kept TTG's hopes alive with a desperate charge at the end. Overhauled Verstappen, who drove a near flawless race from 6th on the grid, was so tight to winning it, but just got caught right at the line. Perpetuum wins the day, and this time he overcomes Verstappen. Verstappen held him off last time out in the Netherlands. Here in Azerbaijan, different fortunes. The race victory goes the other way. Perpetuum wins the day, Verstappen a narrow 2nd place. What a spectacle we've been treated to tonight.
I'm out of breath. I just don't know what to say after that one. That was absolutely incredible. And for me, that drive from Perpetuum is one of the best drives I think I have ever seen in league racing. What a drive from Perpetuum. He had so much pace. And I tell you what, that is an omen for the rest of the teams. If Perpetuum stays on that lineup for the rest of this season. He was fast last time out. He was incredibly fast this time out as well. If he stays on for the rest of this season, he could be really he could be the one to look out for. He could be one that could make all the difference. Verstappen again, another great race for Verstappen, but denied on the final lap. And somehow, Killer Blue, how on earth did he hold on to third place with about, it seemed like 20,000 cars behind him on the road, all gunning for that third place? Somehow, with damage, Killer Blue held on to that. And in the end as well, to Gary, congrats to him to getting those medium tyres to the end of the race. He was the only one able to do it. And XL get a third and fifth. TTG with a first and sixth place finish. QVR second for Verstappen, but only 10th for Kuhn Bly. The championship lead, I think, for the first time this season, is going to come down.
Well, I think it came down at Vietnam as well, but yeah, this certainly is going to be cut right to the wire. And yep, QVR, as we near the halfway point in the season, going to have to start looking over their shoulder as well. They had a comfortable lead after the last race, but now it is starting to come back, and I cannot wait to see what the rest of the season has in store. I think I'm with you on that one. That was easily the best race that we've seen this season. Absolutely thrilling, and I'm so privileged to be able to share the commentary box with you once again, Aidan. Been an absolute pleasure. We've been on the air for over 100 minutes, nearly 2 hours. I think it's time to wrap this up soon enough.
Yeah, that is, for me, that's the longest commentary stint I've ever done, and that was absolutely incredible. I enjoyed every second of that, even with the lobby glitches we had. It was well worth the wait. We predicted it right. We were thinking that the race was going to be worth the wait, and it was absolutely brilliant. Before we go tonight, though, Daka, team of the night. Who do you think the best team tonight was?
Team of the night. Oh my word, you can't keep doing this to me. Yeah, I'm gonna say TTG. And it's like there's a couple of other contenders that could have been, but yeah, obviously Perpetuum. They didn't really. I will say they didn't really. We weren't really with each other on track, so you didn't see. It was just the great pace, obviously that Perpetuum showed superbly to out of virtually nowhere to win that race in the most incredible, remarkable circumstances to take home that race victory as well, right at the death. And also, you have to give credit to Scuba as well for fighting back, particularly in those last few laps. He looked out of contention for most of it, pulled it back in the end, and well, they've taken a big step. I could make an argument probably for XL being team of the night as well, because of how well they work together. But yeah, I think those two teams are definitely the standout. I'll give the nod to TTG on this one though.
Yeah, I think I might have to go over that one as well. XL did a great job, but TTG tonight just seemed to have that little bit extra, especially with Perpetuum in that car. But that is where we are going to round off the stream today, guys. After nearly a full 2 hours of commentary, we are finally going to end. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in today for the stream, for commenting on the stream as well. I think we have near to 600 comments on this stream. What a stream it has been. Thank you, everyone, for keeping us entertained. It's been fun to see all of you guys talking in the chat as well. And that's where we're going to round off. Tune in again next month on the 16th of December. It's a little bit of a shorter wait for the next round at Canada before the Christmas break, obviously, and that will be the next round of the season. Also, tune in at the moment to the Premier League. That is currently live. I believe qualifying should have just finished by now, so tune into the race for that one. Sure to be another cracker, I imagine. But from myself and Daka, it is thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again in a few weeks' time. Goodbye.